Hello, hello, everybody. How we doing? How we doing? How we doing? How we doing today? How are we, folks? Hope you're doing well. Hope you're doing well. Catboi Laffy here again for another Catboi Cafe. Remember, folks, we will be Catboi Cafeing today and tomorrow as well. But if we're able to get a total of hit our sub goal today in the next 2 days, then well, that can extend. And yep, always great. Where the boy? I the boy. I hear the boy. Or you talking about Maurice? I'm not making Maurice have to associate with the maid outfit. Welcome in, folks. Dal, congratulations on your 17th time at Charm. First, I'm proud of you. Shoda, hello, hello. Lily, how we doing? Sky, he must. I didn't have him on yesterday. I'm not gonna have him on today. Hello, how are we? Woo indeed. Thank you for the 3 stream streak. That's awesome. I love that. That's great to hear. How's everyone's day been? For those in Australia who don't know, in Australia today it is Anzac Day, so this is essentially our kind of remembrance day where we remember our soldiers who fought in wars. Yeah, happy Anzac Day to everyone. Hope anyone that has personal ties to this day, I hope that it's been a gentle day for you. And it's always important to remember our soldiers, but especially the soldiers who don't get a lot of remembrance. I posted about this on Twitter, but there's a lot of Indigenous soldiers that have fought over the years in our wars that weren't properly recognized or supported as veterans when they returned. So it's definitely important, especially important for us to remember those, lest we forget. But how's everyone doing? I had to socialize today, so I'm certainly a bit drained. But that's okay, you know? That's okay. I didn't have to, things were prepped for this stream today, so I didn't have to, rush to do a million things. It was great. Top tier. Alright, but, we are playing a cute dating sim today. And so we've played this for 2 streams now. So this is called Our Life Beginning and Always. It is a free game on Steam where you play over 4 important summers of your life. The first summer we play through is when we were 8 years old and Cove, the main love interest of the game, moves to town. The second summer that we were playing through right now is when we are 13 and Cove's divorced parents, has divorced parents, but his mum comes to visit and stay for this summer. And how we're playing it, our crush on each other is starting to develop. Now, there are 5 kind of moments that you can select in what order to play, or to play through at all. You can't just go and then summer ended and not play any of these. But why the heck would you do that? Screw that nonsense. So far we've played dinner and a road trip. Road trip had literally the most mortifying thing ever, where we were about to kiss, and then Cove panicked and sat up and smashed his head on the top of the RV, and then everyone woke up and saw what was happening, and it was truly the most mortifying thing I've ever seen. Truly, truly mortifying. Now, I have a feeling growing might have something to do with puberty, considering it's a mirror. Do you guys have one that you think we should do? Do you reckon wave, growing, or family? I'm not going to do a vote, just a poll. Just put in 1, 2, or 3. 1 for wave, 2 for growing, 3 for family, if you've got any interest. If not, I'll pick one. Ooh. You're after family, Dal? Same with Tomioka. Tomioka pudding, if you will. Alright, I'm happy for family. Let's go. The sun warmed your skin from its place in the sky, and you closed your eyes, enjoying the mix of the heat with the pleasant breeze that drifted past you. You and Lee is our cousin. You and Lee had spread out a blanket on top of one of the hills behind your house, and had been relaxing there for a while now. Lee had come over earlier in the day, and while a range of activities had been discussed, from staying home to heading down to the beach, a picnic on the hill had been the choice you both settled on. A small spread was laid out in front of you, some bottled water, soft drinks, as well as chips and sliced fruit. You sat up and reached for a snack, listening to Lee talk away about the musical she had gotten to see a few days ago. Ooh, I love me some musicals. Just do a tilt like that, beautiful. It was unbelievable. There was singing, dancing, and crazy stunts, and it was all done live right in front of my face. Maybe one day we could go together. I've got to see more shows like that. You smiled at Lee's enthusiasm, knowing how much she enjoyed singing and performing. And she was good at it too. You had gotten the chance to hear her sing a couple of tunes, and you knew she put a lot of effort into it. Alright, we're deciding our level of singing. So you also like to sing, but you weren't very good. You also like to sing and had talent of your own. You didn't like to sing, but you had been told you were good at it. You weren't good at singing, and that suited you fine. So obviously I'm a singer. But are we going with that, or are we going more on the more on the we can't sing front? I'm leaning towards we can sing because, yeah. I like to sing and had talent of our own. Like, I reckon we go for, you know, who I am to a degree. It was nice the two of you could share that interest. I wonder if maybe we could put on our own show. Think of how fun it'd be. We could perform for our parents and ask our friends and some other people to come and watch too. It'd totally work. That sounds terrifying as a 13-year-old. So yes, let's do it. I don't know about that. The idea gave you stage fright. Sure, I'll give it a go. That's not a good idea. It'd be embarrassing. Now, we've been playing this with kind of awkwardness and shyness in general. But if it's for friends and family... look, we're 13. I'm gonna say it'd be embarrassing. It'd be embarrassing. You hadn't performed in front of an audience in your life and you didn't want to start now.
Are you sure?
Are you really super sure? You have so many skills you could show off to the masses. Okay, I'll do it. I really don't want to. I'd rather do something else. Peer pressure is great. Okay. I'll do it. You could see that Lee was really excited about the idea, so with a small nod of your head, you agreed to go along with it.
Woo!
I'm gonna sing. Do you want to too? Or maybe do something else? So we've already kind of put into it, like with hobby-wise, that we like fashion and art. I think let's pick the outfits. That's a great job for you. You always dress so fashionably. Is there anything else that's coming to your head? Let's do... I used to love writing songs as a kid. They were all bad. And I reckon I'll sing. Perform an incredible duet. Let's go. Anything else that's coming to your head? I want to do the backdrop. Let's do a backdrop. Yes, that'd make it a real show. I'll draw something. You had an art kit at home full of colored pencils and markers that you could use to create a piece for the show. Just hope there'd be a large enough piece of paper or cardboard for a backdrop. I think that'll all make an amazing show. You've got things pretty covered. The two of you ran back to your house to grab the supplies you needed, dodging your mum's amused questions before heading back out to the blanket to get started. You spread a large sheet of paper out in front of you and began imagining a backdrop of your scene for the show. Leah and you discussed the plans in detail, settling on a song first, and then practicing out parts for the show. The afternoon passed quickly, the sun dropping lower and lower in the sky, and after having thoroughly worked out how the show was going to go, you decided to take a break. Oh, you know, we should have invited Cove to watch us practice our show. He could tell us if it's bad before we put on the real thing. Glad he didn't see. Are we embarrassed to perform, to be embarrassing in front of Cove? At this point, we've already kind of gone in for a kiss. And done flirting and stuff and being like, I love everything about you kind of thing, which is so cute and corny. You guessed that would have been okay. Yay! Edison, hello, welcome in. What's going on? We are doing the moment called family right now, and us and Lee, who is our cousin, putting together some kind of talent show between the two of us. How did the kiss work out? It didn't. Were you not there for the kiss? Oh yeah, and how did the kiss work out? Very badly. Exceedingly poorly. It was the most mortifying experience. Like, that would give me trauma. That would give me trauma, that experience. I would have just wanted to unalive right there. Yeah, I would literally disintegrate. You guessed that would have been okay, I think. It might have been nice for Cove to be there, but you felt weird when thinking about him watching the show. We could ask him to watch us another time. Maybe. It's too bad Derek isn't in the neighborhood today. I like him. Oh yeah. In fact, we did not kiss. Cove panicked. And sat up very quickly, in a place where they couldn't set up, and Cove bashed his head on the roof of the RV, waking up both families that we were on a road trip together, and every single person saw what was happening. Always a good clip. This is weird. You not play Minecraft? Yeah, it's just for these Catboi Cafe streams. We'll be back to our regular programming on Saturday. I like Derek too. Derek's great. Derek's like top tier. He's a great person. I knew you'd think so. But speaking of the boys we like, what's the relationship status between you and Cove? Is it good? Well. Yeah. Sky, you've been here this whole time. But what's going on, my friend? Hope you're doing well. Look, we're like super best friends. You blushed and said nothing is absolutely what we're doing.
Goodbye, goodbye, good friends, goodbye. 'Cause now it's time to go.
Trapdoor, oh, 'cause there's something down there. Oh, whoa. Take care, Sky. It's great having you pop in. Have a good loiky loik. I appreciate you. Ooh, you're bright red. I guess it's very good. Very good. But, like, really, are you going to be telling him you have a crush on him anytime soon, or what? I'm pretty sure he already knows. Pretty sure isn't sure. You should declare it to him. 3-stream streak, when did you miss one? That's a big sag. Probably Super Life. You couldn't come on Saturday, couldn't you? Or did you pop in for a minute? Yeah, it'd be Saturday, Super Life. You had a friend staying around. You should declare it to him. You mumbled something incoherent. And she gave you a pointed look. You know that he has a crush on you too. It's obvious from him. It's obvious for you. Why not just do it? You'd be a devo if you missed one at this rate. It would be so sad. Like, you're over 100 now. Like, you haven't missed a stream since they introduced stream streaks. It would be, like, devastating. Why not just do it? You didn't say anything, wondering about the possibilities. Instead, like, what if we could hold hands? The two of you talked a little more about Cove amongst other topics, and you found that it was nice having someone to speak with about these sorts of things. Finally, you both decided to pack everything up and head back home for the evening. Lee talked excitedly about the show as you did, and you thought back on what you had already accomplished for it. As long as I have that streak, I can say I am a #1 fan. It's a fairly decent indicator. What if he says no? My worst nightmare when trying to date peeps. Yeah, that is fair. You could definitely do with a little more practice, but what you had so far was a solid foundation for the performance. Upon walking through the front door, you were met by your mums and Elizabeth hovering around each other in the living room. Sky, you were just here. Did you actually stream? What have we done? Tension hung thick in the air as the three of them turned to you, and Lee, frowning slightly, you had interrupted something. Exactly what, you weren't sure. Wow, who died? What's going on? You looked between them but said nothing. Hello.
Oh.
Hi, Luffy. Hello, Lee. Welcome back. The room felt quiet again, with no one quite knowing what to say. You felt incredibly awkward. But the silence didn't last long. You don't have to stop just because those two are here. There's no reason to try keeping it a secret. Elizabeth was mad, with her arms folded defensively over her chest, but your mums nodded in agreement with her.
Well...
Elizabeth was asking about her parents. Oh, is Elizabeth adopted? I'm a lurk. I was trying to find a stream to raid. Okay, fair enough, Sky. Hope you had a good time. Her biological ones. The world spun around you at the news. You couldn't understand. Why was this happening now? When you glanced at Lee, she shuffled her feet uncomfortably as though she didn't know if she should be there or not anymore. You didn't know either. Your mums had always been open and honest about the fact that neither of them... Oh, of course! Of course. I mean, to a degree. Like, there could have been one of them being the childbearer, but... yeah, obviously. There's at least a biological father or some sort. Surrogacy exists, yeah. Mums had always been open and honest about the fact that neither of them had given birth to you or your sister. But the details hadn't been fully explained before. It made sense that Elizabeth didn't know a lot about her biological parents and wanted to know more. You just hadn't ever thought you'd accidentally stumble into it. Elizabeth looked at your parents expectantly. She wasn't going to let the unintentional interruption derail things. We don't want to keep that information from either of you. It's your right to know your past. But we did want to wait until you asked us to hear yourselves. Well, it's happening now, so... Mum shared a nervous glance, and Ma took in a quick breath before speaking again. Your parents are Cove's parents. That would be literally the worst. I adopted you from the Philippines when you were just a baby. Elizabeth dropped her arms, her eyebrows shooting upwards in surprise. Wait, I wasn't born here?
No.
No, you weren't. You could clearly see that your sister was appalled by this information. You struggled even more with what to do or how to react. Am I gonna have to pass some test to even be a citizen?
No.
No, you were adopted into the country. We took care of things. You're already a citizen. You have nothing to worry about. I followed all the laws when it came to bringing a child into the US. Nothing can be held against you. Elizabeth sighed, placated with the information, but still far from happy. Who were my parents as people? Why did they put me up for adoption in the first place? Ma softly put her hands over Elizabeth's shoulder, trying to provide some support before she gave her the answer.
I'm so sorry.
I'm so sorry, sweetie. Your parents were reported to have died. They didn't go into details on the specifics of how, but you were an orphan. Guys, I didn't expect this to happen straight out of the bat. Guys, you chose this one! Why would you do this to me? I wish we had better news for you, Elizabeth. Elizabeth was torn between emotions, her eyes filled with tears as she threw her hands in the air, settling on enraged. This is so heavy. Great, so I can never meet them, even if I wanted to. Not that I could have anyway, since they lived in another part of the world where they were still alive. Elizabeth turned her back on you and your mums and stormed off, sprinting up the stairs into her room before anyone could stop her. I have to go and talk to her. Ma immediately started to follow her, but Mum gently held her by the arm and shook her head. We should give her a little space to process it all. Your Ma's head hung low, but she stopped walking. With Elizabeth now gone, the two of them seemed to remember you and Lee were still standing awkwardly off to the side. I'm sorry you had to see all that. It's not how I expected it would have happened when the time came. But since it's the topic of the day, Laffy, is there anything you'd like to ask? You deserve to know, after all. Lee patted your back and gave you a supportive look. You're good? No, I don't want to hear. Not right now. That's perfectly fine.
I understand.
You can always ask later if you ever change your mind. Smiled at them gratefully. It was nice to know they wanted to be open with you about the topic, even if it wasn't a talk you wanted to have now. No one seemed to have any words after that. Isn't that an Irish name? What, Niam? Is it like Neve? Man, that was so heavy. So we go up to our room. You needed to stay here with your moms. You wanted to get out of the house. You wanted to see Elizabeth. You wanted to see Cove. Well, like, I always want to see Cove. But I think we're gonna go be with our sister. Just shout, cried out. That's fair. You were worried about Elizabeth, even though she'd been so angry when talking to your moms about everything. You could see she was clearly sad. You headed over to the stairs and up to her room. We'll leave Lee in the living room. As awkward as that would be for Lee, it'd be best to speak to Elizabeth alone. There was more chance of her opening up to you that way. Waiting in front of your sister's door, you raised a hand to knock on it. There was no answer for a good minute or two, and when you jiggled the handle, you found it was locked. Raising your hand again, you knocked louder this time, thinking she must have her headphones on and so couldn't hear you. When she didn't answer the door a second time, it was clear to you that she either still couldn't hear or was just straight up ignoring you. It hurt to be shut out, especially right now. Cove time? I'm the kind of person that I would go to my room now. I would just go and like sit and like sulk. Just like sit and be by myself for a while. But I'm happy to do the Cove option. It is nice to be with people, even if you're not talking in a situation like this. You wanted to see Cove. Dive into your Cove? That's disgusting, Dal. How dare you? More than anything, in that moment, you wanted to see Cove. No one could be there for you the way he could. I'm gonna go out just for a little while. I'll be back before it's really late. Your mum's nodded in understanding, trusting you to make the best call for yourself. We were meant to just be doing a fun talent show, guys. How did this happen? Once outside, you strode across the street purposefully, Cove's house set in your sights. You'll not ever dived into hugs before? Yeah. But dive into your Cove has a very different connotation, Dal. After you raised a hand to knock on the door, once you broke your boyfriend's bed? With hugs, of course. After, it only took a few moments for Mr. Holden to answer it, giving you a broad smile. Hi, Luffy. Looking for Cove, I bet. Yeah, that's right. Cliff turned and whistled down the hall in the direction of Cove's room. Hey, Sport, you have a guest. After calling his son, he turned back to you and dipped his head.
No worries.
He'll be here any second. As promised, it didn't take long before footsteps echoed down the hall, and Cove's head of green hair appeared before you all. He looked past his dad to see you standing there and smiled, pleased at your visit. Hugged him and the velocity pushed us into it. We laughed, then went to B&Q to get the tape to fix it. Lol. Wait, you fixed your bed with tape? Excuse me? How was it broken that you could fix it with tape? Or was it like the mattress that like broke? Like tore or something? Broke the wooden slats and taped them together? That's insane. I mean, I guess. Sure, if it works, it works. He looked past. Yeah. Done this. Hey, Laffy. Hi, Cove. Can you hang out now? We were a little more careful. Yeah, I should hope so. He gave you a placid smile, one you were all too familiar with. Sure. You kids take care, all right? I'll be around if you need anything. Mr. Holden shuffled back into the house and closed the front door, giving you some privacy. What a heartthrob damn face. Why would they draw him like this? Cove tilted his head at you, his bangs falling into his face as he did so. Guys, you reckon we're wearing an anklet? Yeah, like that is not a 13-year-old. That's a 17-year-old model right there. That is how that is drawn. Why is he so ripped?
So...
What's up? There's a lot going on right now. Cove looked at you in confusion, his eyebrows dipping. What is it? Can we talk somewhere else? You felt uncomfortable huddling around the entrance of Cove's house. That feeling didn't seem to be a problem, though. Yeah. Cove took you by the arm and encouraged you along behind him. You followed without protest. You headed towards the hills where you and Lee had spent the majority of your day. What didn't make sense? Yeah. I got what they were meaning. But yeah, it wasn't quite right in how it was written. You headed towards the hills where you and Lee had spent the majority of your day. Things seemed so different then, only a couple of hours ago. And you wondered how everything had changed so drastically. You took a seat in the grass beside Cove, who bent his legs and rested his arms on them before he turned to you again. Can you explain everything to me? You nodded softly before taking in a heavy breath and launching into the story. Cove sat quietly and listened attentively, nodding every now and then or taking in a sharp inhale. It took a long time for you to relay the details. Dozens of stars were pinpointed in the sky as the night wore on. Silence settled between you as Cove sat quietly for a moment, contemplating everything you had said. When he finally spoke, his voice was quiet, drifting through the night towards you. Laffy?
I'm so sorry.
I'm sorry about what's happening. With Elizabeth, your parents, your family, everything. He stopped suddenly, and you got the impression he was struggling to find more to say. That's a mood. It's really hard to be the other person, because it's like, it's so hard to know what to say, to know what to do. Like, it's hard. And it's okay. Sometimes you just gotta be there to listen and let them cry. And just hold them and tell them it's gonna be okay. You know, Elizabeth and I haven't ever been super close, but I don't think she'd want her family to break up or drift apart. Even if she complains about it sometimes. He smiled at you a little, and you could tell he was trying to be comforting. I really wasn't expecting to be doing this really heavy scene in a maid outfit today, I'll be real. This isn't fun and charming. This is terrifying and sad. He smiled at you a little. You could tell he was trying to be comforting. It's 9:30 and I'm sad. I don't like this. Yeah, look, it's not a great start to a day. And your mums definitely don't. It doesn't matter if you're not blood related. They're definitely family. I can see that, and I hope you can too. 100%, folks. Blood means shit. Thank you, Cove. You cried sadly, in relief. I think we just cry. It's good to just cry. No matter what the reasons behind it were, how Elizabeth had acted and everything else still upset you. Blood equals poop, literally. Ugh. I mean the pipeline from blood sausage to toilet is there. Sniffling quietly, you wiped away your tears with the back of your hand. Didn't see how your family could move past this. You stayed up on the hill together a little longer, looking out over the ocean and the stars that shone brightly above it. After talking about the situation with someone who wasn't directly a part of it, you started to see things in a different light. Above all, you were glad to have Cove's support, and to know you could count on him if you need it. I'm just gonna do that. Thanks for that, Dal. Jesus Christ. Above all, you were glad to have Cove's support and to know you could count on him if you needed it. Hey. The sudden voice of your sister behind you made you jump. You saw her standing a little way away. She walked closer and you didn't know what to do or what she was planning on saying.
So?
Would you mind going? I want to talk to just Laffy. You can come back, it's not going to be forever or anything. Cove seemed equal parts concerned and skeptical. Leaving now wasn't a concept that thrilled him. We nod our head in agreement. He wanted to talk to you in private. It was obviously about something important. You waited until the two of you were alone before fixing her with an inquisitive look. Elizabeth folded her arms, looking you over. Did mums tell you about your parents too? I didn't want to know. Elizabeth nodded in understanding, her face solemn. Why did you want to talk to me? I went to see you and you didn't even answer. Elizabeth raised an eyebrow at the news.
What?
I didn't hear anything. Shutting everything out with loud music was very typical of your sister. You didn't feel much less confused, though. Why did you stop doing that, then? She shook her head as though the answer should be obvious. I was worried about you. I was the one who brought it up, but I made you deal with whatever was left when I was gone. She sighed, glancing upwards for a moment before settling on you once more. Flicker, hello, how you doing? We are in the heavy shit. It's heavy. This scene, heavy. A good way to break that up is a ooh ooh ha ha ha. She sighed, glancing upwards for a moment before settling on you once more. I wanted to ask you what happened without everyone breathing down our necks. Mine is at 99%, literally just dropped as I checked. More than 10, that's impressive. Mine is at 40. Mine's at 40%. But I was at a socializing shindig today, so I spent a lot of time playing games. What did I say? Shit? I say shit semi-often. Yours is 10? Jeez. Yeah, I don't think shit is a bad word. I think it's a sometimes word. I don't think it's something you use all the time, but I use it from time to time. Thank you for thinking of me. I'm thinking that. Although I don't mind this one either. Thank you for thinking of me. Yeah, that's about right. She stuck her nose up a little at that, but her smile was soft. I'm okay, Elizabeth. It didn't upset me. I mean, it did. How are you allowed to be that mature? The lightning spirits in her were quickly gone as she slipped back into a scowl. You have to be born in the US to become president. So for Flick, as you've just come in, we were with our cousin Lee planning a talent show, and we came home, and Elizabeth and their mums were talking about Elizabeth's biological parents, because we're both adopted. And Elizabeth found out that, one, she was born in the Philippines, and two, that her biological parents are dead. And she's struggling with that a smidge. We decided that we didn't want to know yet. We didn't want to have the talk yet, but yeah. What? You had never heard of that dream of hers before. She noticed your bafflement and continued. I get I was never gonna be president, but it just feels weird having stuff taken away. Not even getting a chance at it. I don't like having to know that when I was born, I was gonna have a completely different life. So different I can't even think about what it'd look like in my head. Could have spoken another language, lived away from everything I've ever seen here, as someone else as my sibling. And then my parents died, and I was adopted, and the life I got became a totally new thing forever. Can't go back to what it was, even if I wanted to. A heaviness settled between you and the person who became your sister. Feel like that too. You know exactly how she felt. I don't really understand. I feel like that too. I can't stop wondering what my life would have been like if I wasn't adopted. There are so many things that could have been different. Elizabeth watched you seriously. She was still trying to make sense of this to you and herself. The writing in this is so good, and this is a free game. This is free. It has paid DLC, but this game is free, and it's really well written. The art is stunning. It's well written. We do get some super goofy expressions from Cove every once in a while, but it's really good game. I haven't played a whole lot of visual novels, but like this is like good. And the reviews of it were really good, saying like it's really, really well written when I was looking to find what I wanted to play for these. I don't know why today was the day. Nothing came up to make me ask the question. It was just something I've had in my head for a while. When it was just me and Mum's in the living room, I just kind of said it. Finally, and there you go. She shifted from one foot to another, relaxing her stance just a bit. She also spoke more gently. Learning about them and what happened doesn't change how I feel about our family, Laffy. I still think you all suck. She smirked, fixing you with sharp eyes. I'd already figured a long time ago that mums weren't our biological parents. That wasn't news. Technically, one of them could have been related to you. You kept listening to Elizabeth. It doesn't really change anything. Nothing about the family I was first born in would have made me decide that this wasn't my family anymore. If you had hoped you'd be free of my big sisterly status, don't think you're so lucky. She bumped her shoulder against yours playfully, her lips tilted at the corners.
You'll always be my little brother.
Oh, that's sweet. You smiled softly at her, jokingly groaned at the prospect, bumped her back. You hugged her. You'll always be my family, too. Chuckling, she seemed pleased with how the conversation had gone in the end. It's nice to have, like, a nice, genuine moment with Elizabeth in this summer. She's been a right 15-year-old girl for this this portion of the game. Ready to head back home? Been a long day. You gave her a nod.
Come on.
Come on, you two. Let's go. Right, Cove's just still here, sitting out of earshot. Walked home together in a comfortable silence down the well-worn street. The familiarity of it all felt nice. When you stepped through the door, you found your mums quietly sitting together at the kitchen table. Their heads snapped up and they got to their feet to meet you, Ma giving you a careful smile. We're so glad to see you. Everything's all right. That's wonderful, sweetheart. Really wonderful. Ma then came over and wrapped her arms around you and Elizabeth, giving you a tight hug. Didn't take long for Mum to join in, putting her arms around the both of you.
Love you.
We really couldn't have asked for better kiddos. We love you. More than we could ever say. Moms. You smiled at their comfort. You were so glad your mums were alright. Smooshing me! Yeah, we're 13. We gotta do that. You all chuckled, the rumble of laughter shaking as you all continued to hold each other tight. I love you too. They both pulled back eventually. Why does the one all the way to the right look like a horror movie villain? What, the one in the, like, light blue shirt? I mean, she doesn't to me, but sure. They both pulled back eventually and grinned at the two of you, and you knew that you all had each other. And you always would. Hey, I hope you're all right. Lee came up towards you, a soft smile plastered on her face. And are you okay, Elizabeth? Elizabeth rolled her eyes and huffed a breath, and you knew she wasn't used to showing her vulnerable side.
Fine.
I'm doing fine. Lee nodded, though you could tell she didn't quite believe her. Well now, since we're all here, how about we do something together as a family? That sounds like an excellent idea. We should have some fun before the night's over.
Totally!
I love the sound of that. Okay. Cove's still here. Okay, I assumed we would have, like, dropped him off at home on the way, but I guess Cove's here. Hell yeah. Cove looked a little bashful, likely over being included as part of the family, but he tried not to pay much attention to it. Why not? You had the smile that threatened to tilt your lips, knowing that Elizabeth must have been in a good mood if she had even teased Cove for being part of it. Hadn't even teased Cove for being part of it. And no matter what she could have said about it, you wanted him to be there. He was someone who was really important to you. Who's got a suggestion? It should be something we can do here in the house with everyone in the same room. You suddenly remembered the show you and Lee had been working on earlier. Maybe we can do our show?
Oh?
A show? This is the first time we're hearing of this. I'm intrigued.
Wonderful.
I got a suggestion if show doesn't work out. D&D? Yeah, let's all start a D&D campaign. Perfect. It would be amazing if you put it on for us to watch. Oh yeah, I need to see what you've got cooked up. That'd be cool. Boyfriend got his parents playing D&D. I think my dad would like it, but my mum hates games. You smiled at Lee, who returned the gesture while bouncing on her heels in excitement. My sisters played a bit. Take some seats and we'll get everything together. Your mums collected the chairs from around the dining table and set them in a row in the living room, where there was enough space for the show. While they did that, you and Lee quickly gathered the supplies you needed and rehashed the plan one last time. You listened through the song you had chosen one last time. The backdrop you had prepared earlier was also ready to go now that it was needed. Finally, you changed into the outfits you had picked out. When the two of you returned to the living room, everyone was sitting and chatting amongst themselves while they waited. Just love being pasty pale is just a thing on your mum's side in this. Yeah. The group quieted down when you and Lee stood in front of them on your makeshift stage. Lee was buzzing quietly with excitement beside you. You were pumped for the show, baby! The time you and Lee had put into practicing was worth it. You were ready to go. Okay, so, welcome to our show. We only came up with it today, but we promise it'll be good. No refunds! No refunds! Laughter rippled through the mini audience. Then you nodded at Lee that you were ready to begin. Raw performance check. Yeah, I don't have dice on me. I'll roll my B. That side. At some point I need to tell my my first like theater experience performing and how it just like put that bug in me, that performance bug. And you nodded at Lee that you were ready to begin. Lee took in a deep breath, waiting for the few beats it took to get into the song, and started singing. Your part of the song joined in just a few moments later, and you smiled at each other as you sang together. Your outfits gave a special element to the performance. The backdrop you had created gave a great atmosphere to work off of. When the performance was over, Lee took your hand in hers and the two of you bowed deeply together. This is the kind of thing me and my sister would do when I was younger. Actually, like, younger than 13, but mum was like working and like when it was in the holidays, so my sister was looking after me because she's like 8 years older than me. And one day we decided to put on a concert to Catboi. And like was fully rehearsed. I was on a skateboard. I'm like, yeah. And then my sister like popped up from behind the bar because there was like a bar area in like our kind of granny flat-ish area. She'd pop up there to do the bridge because I couldn't quite get my head around the bridge. But yeah. Very cute. I was a skater boy, she said, see you later, boy. I wasn't good enough for her. When the performance was over, Lee took your hand in hers and the two of you bowed deeply together. Everyone gave you a round of applause and cheered for an encore. When you straightened yourself up, you were happy to see that even Elizabeth was clapping for you. Bravo! Bravo!
Good job.
You are so talented. Your family rose from their seats and came over to congratulate you more directly. You were beaming from ear to ear. Cove was the first one to approach, stepping up to you and Lee with a smile on his face.
It's nice.
Nice job. Thank you. You're a really great singer, Luffy. It was cool. I mean, me at 13 would be like, I was pretty good. Huh? I'd have been very cocky. But we blush and say nothing. Oh no, I accidentally denied that. No, I didn't mean to deny that. No. No. Dal, can you unblock that term? Kiss him, is what Edison said. I think we blush and say nothing. We're not going to kiss him in front of everyone. We already accidentally tried that. You blushed and said nothing. Cove chuckled and shook his head. Hey, were you the one who drew the backdrop? Yeah, that was me. Nearly did anyway, they know already. Yeah, but we can't have our first kiss in front of them. Intentionally. Cove smiled, content over his guess being correct.
Not bad.
I thought so. It was good. You couldn't help but feel flattered that he could recognize your talents so easily. Your parents gushed about how great everything was and thanked you for sharing it with them. Elizabeth was complimentary in her own way, although she did describe the show as cute, which she knew she meant as kind of kiddie. Which it really is. You laughed it off, however, and were just happy that everyone had a nice time. In that moment, you couldn't have been more pleased to be part of the family you had. Thanks, Tal. Well, that was exceedingly heavy. I have a feeling growing has a chance to be heavy. So let's do wave. Because it being called growing with a mirror kind of makes me think of like puberty. And that seems a little heavy. So let's go with wave, where it's just beach. The family shopping trip had lasted most of the morning, and you still had to unload everything from the trunk before you could go enjoy the afternoon. 100% gonna have a surfing accident? Oh no! Cove is gonna have a jet ski accident again and get another gnarly scar that makes him look even hotter. You cradled another bag in your arms as you headed towards your house. It was one of the heavier bags from the grocery store, loaded with fresh apples, ripe tomatoes, a bunch of carrots, and even half a watermelon. God, I love watermelon. Mark came out the front door and paused just ahead of you.
It's no trouble.
Need any help with that, Laffy? I can bring in it the rest of the way if you need me to. Absolutely not. No, I've got it. You could just manage to hold it. I think. I'm the kind of person who will take all of the shopping in one trip. It's a matter of principle. One trip only, absolutely. No, I've got it. No, I've got it. Even if it was heavy, you wanted to bring it in yourself. Right on. Ma gave you an encouraging grin and rustled her fingers through your pink hair. You set the next bag on the counter. Your older sister began to root around inside for the contents with a sigh. How much is left? Still a few more bags. No, we didn't bring it all? Disgusting. With a huff and a puff, Elizabeth continued putting away the groceries, and you retreated out of the kitchen before you could become the target of her bad mood.
Be careful.
Careful, Laffy. You hadn't been looking where you were going and bumped right into Mum, also stepping on her toes to boot. Rip. Sorry. I can give you a pass this time, but be sure to watch where you're going. If you run in the into the wrong person, you might get your license revoked. Our license? She grinned at the bad joke as you continued through the door. Outside, Ma had started organizing what remained and putting back any loose objects that had fallen out during the trip. You need a license to walk in these here parts, Sonny Jim. And I'll revoke your license. When you stepped up to the trunk beside her, she took in a big breath of air, her dress gently swaying around in the breeze.
That's a shame.
It's a shame we had to spend the morning cooped up in that shopping center. It's a beautiful day, don't you think? You tilted your head to the sky, gazing at the clear blue expanse. Days like today are my favorite. Yeah. Ma smiled at you, her amber eyes glinting with affection. You and your sister are a lot alike in that way. And me too. You gave her a familiar look. But eventually, you turn back to help her with the last of the bags. Oh. Hi, Cove. You notice Mum was wave over at Cove, who had just exited his front door, his surfboard propped up under one arm. Let me see. Surfboard and wetsuit? Where might you be off to on this beautiful day? I think he's going to the shops, Mum. Cove instantly startled, not having realized your family was also out here. Even though your mum was the one who called out, you were the one he looked at. He tried to settle down again. Cove stayed on his side of the driveway, giving a small wave and greeting. After a moment or two, it was decidedly awkward since Cove had trouble figuring out how close to stand to you. The addition of his unwieldy surfboard made the whole thing seem even clumsier. Careful with that thing, you'll put someone's eye out. We better be allowed to kiss him in this round. Like, I expect it'll probably be in the finale of the summer, as opposed to in any of these little bits, but like, we better. It better let us have a romance moment. Careful with that thing, you'll put someone's eye out. Mum chuckled, got a whispered reproach from Ma for it.
Pam,
please go easy on him. Cove winced. He wasn't a big fan of attention under normal circumstances, so in this particular moment, he was probably wishing he could be invisible. Don't mind her, honey. How are you today? I'm alright, just gonna surf. Hi, Cove. He'd relaxed a little when Ma spoke to him, but the rigidity all came back as soon as you had said something.
Hey.
Hey, Luffy. He met your eyes and it almost felt like you had butterflies in your stomach. If you want to go to the beach, we could hang out there later. You noticed the flush of red on his cheeks, but that might have just been from the heat. Uh-huh. Sure, I'll meet you there when we're done. Uh-huh. Sure, I'll meet you there when we're done. Cool. That must have been more enthusiastic than he had intended, because he immediately quietened down. You're not done unloading, right? Can I help?
no.
No, this is our job. You go enjoy the beach. Laffy can catch up as soon as he is finished here. Alright, I'll see you. Yeah, bye for now. Cove headed on down to the beach with more skip in his step than normal. It was really cute. You smiled softly to yourself at the thought that you'd be joining him soon. Guys. I love this boy. He sure seemed to perk up after you agreed to meet him there. I wonder why that could be. Ma! Oh, that's really funny, actually. I always love when I say something and then I go to the next panel and it's exactly what I said. Ma. Now who's giving him a hard time, Lani?
Shush.
Gosh, it's different. Mom's face broke into an incredulous grin. In what way? I'm being supportive. And he can't hear it. Mum full on laughed that time.
Lonnie.
You're the worst of us when it comes to this. Honestly, I keep trying to warn people, but they won't listen. Oh, of course. She looks like she's the biggest, like, RZA. And I say that, like, as in, like, ribbing and not, like, Riz. Razza, that's what I'm more thinking. I only want to help. I think it's fair to say he might need it. Meddler, but you do have a point. Oh my god, are our mums gonna be our wingmen? Right. You narrowed your eyes at their teasing, and then they simply chuckled conspiratorially before taking more bags from the trunk and heading inside. Guys, we're going on another trip, and there was only one bed. Once everything had finally been taken in and put away, you got yourself ready to meet Cove at the beach. You had a surfboard? Ooh. Family had a surfboard around here somewhere. You weren't sure what you were going to do. It was something you didn't know how. I think, like... Do you reckon we're surfers? I reckon there's a family surfboard. I think we've surfed. I think we know how to surf, but we're not like an avid surfer. I think that's my thought. Hi, you're in bed? Hi, in bed. I'm laughing. Can I take your board to the beach? Sure, it's in the garage. Just remember to keep the leash on when you're in the water. After finding the board in the back of the garage and getting everything ready, you headed down to the beach.
Have fun.
Have fun, honey. Stay safe. When you arrived at the shore, you were greeted by the crash of waves and the soft calls of seagulls. You took in a lungful of the ocean air and felt your tan skin warm in the sun. You noticed a small setup nearby with a towel, some sunscreen, and a bottle of water. It must be Cove's. You spotted Cove himself nearby. He hadn't gone out to sea yet. He was just sitting in the sand at the water's edge, his board propped up beside him. You walked up beside him. Hi, I made it. Laughy. He looked up at you with a smile and quickly hopped to his feet. I was going to go in on my own soon. It kind of seemed like you weren't coming. I wouldn't have missed it. He chuckled shyly at your insistence. Okay. Then he cast his eyes out towards the waves. Cove, I'm not that good at surfing. I borrowed this board, but I don't know how to surf. I'm ready to get in there. Will you give me some tips? Cove had read up on surfing more than you have, so you knew he'd have some good tips to help you improve. Yeah, let's get started. You tucked your board under your arm and the two of you ran into the water together. You paddled out into the sea to where the good waves were. The water was cool against your skin.
It's nice.
Not too calm, but nothing crazy. It looks perfect today. He smiled at you, and you couldn't help but smile back. You felt totally content. Until Cove kicked the water a little too hard and inadvertently splashed you. How dare. Hey! You're getting me wet.
Sorry.
Did that hit you? Sorry. You could tell he really did feel bad that you had gotten caught in the crossfire. Well, obviously. Yeah, obviously, Edison. We splash him back. You laughed but waited for an opening for revenge. The second he looked away, you kicked back, spraying him.
Seriously?
Is that any way to treat someone trying to help? I came out here to teach you. And I was just following your example. Yeah, this is the me I know and love. Cove tried to keep a straight face, but ended up looking away. The water you flicked at him landed in shiny droplets in his hair. Then here's another lesson. Oh, dang it! I accidentally double-clicked. Hello, Blending. How you doing? Welcome in. Hope you're well. Hope you're well. It is Catboi Cafe Week. We are in a maid outfit for the next, we were in one yesterday, today, and tomorrow. But if the unlikely event happens that we reach our subpoint goal over this next 3 days, then that will extend. We can get the last one from the log. Ooh, maybe. We'll have a look. I think there is a way to go back, but I haven't quite figured out what it is, because I looked at all the stuff a very long time ago. But yes, welcome in. Hope you're doing well, my friend. This is a reward to my chat for funding our gaming PC. And we're playing a cute little dating sim today, where we play through 4 important summers of our life, all centered around the love interest Cove. The first summer we played through was when we were 8, And then this is the second summer we're playing through when we are 13. And we are going surfing with Cove right now. Doing good, chilling at work. How are you? I am good. I'm a little bit drained. Did some like socializing earlier. Went to like mom and dad's friend's place after the Anzac Day service, which for those who aren't Australian, Anzac Day is our kind of remembrance day, celebrating our Anzacs, who were the soldiers that fought in the First World War. But it's kind of become just a general remembrance of all of our soldiers, in general. Look. Ah, yeah. He soaked you deliberately this time. He used his full leg and an impressive curtain of water hit you in the face. You lost your balance and scrambled to keep hold of the board. You just managed to stay on, but it was close. Cove winced. Are you okay? I'm sorry. I'm fine, but we should... we should do the real teaching. Yeah. He chuckled awkwardly, shook some water out of his ear. With that, Cove started telling you all the tips and tricks of how to stay on a surfboard. He demonstrated both good and bad posture and explained where you needed to put your weight. Like this? You wiggled your body so that you were more in the center of your board. Cove nodded. Yep, just like that. The little lesson continued and things clicked with you quickly. It had to go slowly, but you got it. Kind of struggled. It was disastrous. I reckon this. It had to go slowly, but you got it. It could take me a while to get my head around stuff. Cove did his best to guide you through the process, and by the end you felt you had picked up the basics of surfing. Occasionally he reached out and touched you to more directly help get positions right. It felt nice. But if you acknowledged you noticed his touch at all, he would instantly pull away. Why boy so shy? Love me. Since you'd spent so much time working on balance and stable water, you wondered when you'd actually get to catch some waves. Brought it up to Cove and he nodded. If you think you're ready, go for it. You'll do great. All right. With that, you graduated from Cove's class and the two of you were able to surf together more casually. Even if he was still better at it. What an afternoon. Setting sun was visible on the horizon. Every time you would look away, it had sunk a little lower. The beach was darkening, but still pleasantly warm. You knew you should get out of the water before it was completely dark in the sea. You rode one last wave to get back to the beach. There you picked up your surfboard and gave it a quick once-over. Cove followed behind you to the shore. He put his board with his other things and grabbed his towel to start drying off. As he ruffled his hair with the towel, you watched the sun set together. The colors were beautiful in the distance, and the shadows around you deepened. There was no need for words between you two as you both enjoyed the sight for a moment. Cove broke the silence. The waves were good today, I think. Perfect for surfing. He nodded mildly. You chatted a little more until the conversation truly died out, and all you heard was the rhythmic sound of waves. Then Cove sighed. Now, despite Australian stereotypes, I do in fact know nothing about surfing, other than the word gnarly. You chatted a little more until the conversation truly died out, and all you heard was the rhythmic sound of waves. Then Cove sighed. Guess that's good enough. The day can't be over, not yet. He scowled into the distance as if the sun exiting the sky was a personal offense. Hit the barrels, Laffy. Shaka, hang loose. Hang tight. Don't you think it should be longer? Yeah. I've stood up straight in defiance of the approaching darkness. I'm not gonna go home yet. I want to go somewhere. I don't know. Cove was still dripping in salt water, so you weren't sure what the alternative was. Wetsuits were fine for the beach and not much else. Wasn't a good idea for him to lug his surfboard around town either. My dad surfs every day, so I am, shower with shuckers on every visit. Aha, fair enough. A full, boom shakalaka. Whoa, that was loud. Yeah, yeah. Toki, hello, how you doing? How you doing? What's going on? Let's turn my headset down a smidge, cause that... Ooh, that could have deafened me. How you doing, Toki? Hope you're doing well, hope you're doing well. It's Catboi Day. It wasn't a good idea for him to lug his surfboard around town either. The cringe one? Excellent. Thank you for the hydrate blending. One of my favorite foxes. Fit check. All right. We could do that. Let's do this. Do this. Do this. Do this. Move this back over. Pam, hello. How we doing? All right, of course there's no music. All right, we got a wonderful redeem. We got a ooh, ha ha ha. Hope you enjoyed, Pam. Welcome in. How you doing? Hope you're good. I love a good Pam and a good blending. Always nice to have you two around. We're playing a cute little dating sim that takes place over 4 important summers of our life, all focusing around the main love interest we have, Cove, who is here in front of us. This is our second summer in which we are 13 years old. The first one we were 8. And Cove first moved to town because his parents separated. In this summer, Cove's now divorced parents. His mum has come to visit for the whole summer. And in this particular playthrough, our bond has developed from fond to crush. And we've just been surfing. So you'll be real cute in that wetsuit wherever you go. I need to call it a night. Yeah, I want to do something too. We'll sure be welcome anywhere soaking wet like this. That's very funny, but obviously we're doing this. You'll be real cute in that wetsuit wherever you go. Cove's face and ears flushed red as he looked down and inspected himself. He crossed his hands over his chest self-consciously. He had been so used to wearing it that Cove hadn't given his current choice of dress any thought. At least that was before you pointed it out to him. Well, you would too, so... Cove's eyes widened when he processed what he just said and awkwardly decided to give up on the whole thing. Then he looked down the shore with wide, shining eyes. There's at least one place that's always okay to hang out in, no matter what time it is. The park. You nodded. The park was virtually always empty. Even Elizabeth only went over there nowadays if she was looking for you. How times have changed. She used to be so protective of the place. In fact, the only person there was a chance of running into might be that Jeremy kid again. God, I hope not. I hope to never see that child again. I hope to legitimately never see Jeremy again. Or as we have lovingly nicknamed him, Weevil from Yu-Gi-Oh! Say goodbye to Exodia! He brought the idea up to Cove and he cringed, but I'm still going. The sun is still there a little. I'm staying out as long as it is. Yeah, we're tagging along. Going to the park in the evening with Cove. Romantic. Okay, let's go. Cove took a minute to put his stuff in order. He made sure to get it all, though didn't take too much care to shake the sand off. You dealt with your own things. You took your time to pack your bag. Two of you finished at about the same time. As a final touch, Cove plucked his glasses off the beach and put them back on his face. He looked more like himself now. He led the way down the beach to the park. It wasn't far, so it didn't take you long at all. The sun still hadn't completely disappeared just yet when you made your arrival. Cove stuck his surfboard upright in the sand and tossed his towel over top. By now the two of you were mostly dry. The summer breeze on your skin kept you pleasantly warm. Cove idly went over to the monkey bars. He grabbed them, feet flat on the ground, and pretended to go across. He had definitely grown in the past few years. You were still short enough to use the monkey bars yourself. Sometimes being tiny had its perks. When he got to a bar in the middle, Cove pulled himself up and through, then sat on top of the bars. His legs dangled off the side of the bar he perched on. You joined him on the monkey bars. You stood nearby. You took a seat on the swing. We join him on the monkey bars. I want to sit next to him at all times. You looked above yourself to inspect the monkey bars. You might have been short, but that just gave you more experience in climbing things. You leapt and grabbed at one of the bars, using the momentum to swing yourself up. It took a little more scrambling, but you made it to the top. Cove seemed impressed. You were like... Just like a little gremlin scrambling up these damn bars. It's like, damn, you're terrifying. You settled on the monkey bar like it was a throne. You didn't get to be above everything often. Guess what? He smiled broadly and raised an eyebrow. He's not here. Oh, don't say that. Right, it was true. There wasn't a single sign of Jeremy. Looks like it was just going to be the two of you tonight. I swear, if Jeremy comes and interrupts us, I'm going to kill the child. I truly despise this child. And if he breaks up us having a moment, I'll be so mad. And knowing the writers of this damn game, he will. We're going to be about to kiss, and damn Weevil's going to come up and ruin everything. Cove hung his head and groaned dramatically. Your eyes widened when he whipped his head back up.
No way.
I can't believe how dumb my parents are for forcing me to come to this stupid place. Oh, I can't believe how dumb my parents are for forcing me to come to this stupid place. You were taken aback a blink for a second before you realized it was quoting Jeremy. Don't scare me like that. One Jeremy is enough. Oh. Well, there's a big part of me, there's the adult part of me that wants to go with these. Like, don't make fun of people. But also, don't scare me like that. One Jeremy is enough. Gove chuckled back at you, a mischievous glint in his eye. You looked around the old park, the streets you knew like the back of your hand, and the beach. These were your stomping grounds. You wondered how Cove actually felt. How much was his joke just a joke? And how much was sincere dislike of this place? Moving had never been his choice. Do you actually like this neighborhood? Do you really have to ask that, Luffy? Cove kicked his legs carelessly as they dangled. He smiled softly. I like it here, I really do. It's a nice place. He didn't hesitate. There was no uncertainty. Demon King, hello, hello. How you doing? How you doing? We're playing a dating sim today in maid outfit, Catboi style. This is the reward for chat funding my new gaming PC, which hopefully I'll be able to order tomorrow. I haven't got the money yet. Hopefully I will tomorrow. He didn't hesitate. There was no uncertainty. That was his genuine opinion. At least one burst the legs in here, you're not a wet asleep. Well, of course, I'm here after all. Cove flushed and started kicking his legs wildly like he was running in place. Didn't take long for the day to finally draw to a close. The sun was gone and it was dark. You chatted a while longer, but it was definitely winding down. I wish days were longer. I wish this day was longer. His feet kicked out and made him look like a pouty child. Oh well. Cove sighed, it was time to go home. Alright, I still have my music playing. I feel like the music's too quiet today. No, not menu. Config. That's better. These kind of streams are very different because, like, I'm talking way more than I usually do. And I'm doing mild voice acting stuff, but, like, the techniques are fine for me, but it's certainly much more needed of the voice lubrication, if you will. Cove side. Hydrate, thank you, Edison. Appreciate ya. It was time to go home. He hopped down from the monkey bars with a thump when his feet hit the ground. You clambered down the monkey bars yourself. You lowered yourself more slowly than Cove and barely made a sound when your feet reached the ground. Cove grabbed his surfboard, threw his towel around his neck. With his water bottle in hand, he was ready. You both began to trek up the road. It was a quiet night, and you didn't run into anyone else in what felt like no time at all. You had reached your street. As you walked, Cove smiled to himself. It was a soft expression, and you couldn't help but wonder what put it there. Cove? I just remember when we were younger. It used to be such a big deal to come home after dark. You could indeed recall. If you got sandy, your parents would have something to say. If you got wet, your parents would have more to say. And if you came home after dark, well, your mums and his dad better have said it was okay beforehand. You used to need permission for everything. That small comment he made exposed just how much freedom you really had this summer. Cove looked up to the sky, a smile still on his face as the two of you walked side by side, reminiscing. When you came to your houses, you turned to each other. Bye. It was nice seeing you. Cove waved and you both turned around to your respective houses. This was a pleasant end to the outing, you thought. That was just nice. That was nice. Alright, growing. Let's go. Final scene for this summer. Early one afternoon, you found yourself in the living room with your family. It was another one of those summer days where it felt too hot to go outside, but it was too uncomfortable to do anything inside either. The air conditioner was cranked up as far as you could negotiate it, but everyone was still being pretty lazy. You, your mums, and sister were lounging around while the TV blared on in the backdrop, ignored by all of you. Lying spread eagle on the carpet, what a hero. Sitting cross-legged on the floor, perched on the arm of the couch, draped over the coffee table. That is a really funny image. Draped over the coffee table, let's do it. The surface had been nice and cool to the touch at first, but now your skin was sticking to it. Elizabeth broke the silence with a loud groan. You glanced over. She was lying on her back over the couch, massaging her calf with one hand.
Ugh.
Ugh, I feel terrible. I'm dying in this house and my legs hurt. Like sitting on a leather sofa in summer. Ugh. Gross. Mum looked up from the magazine she's barely been flipping through and frowned, concerned. Could you have strained them somehow? Elizabeth flailed briefly, then flopped onto her side with a heavy sigh. I don't know, it just hurts.
Sweetie.
Oh, sweetheart. Ma got up from her seat at the kitchen table and walked over to your sister. She did a light pat on Elizabeth's shoulders sympathetically. I'm sorry you have to deal with that. Maybe it's growing pains. You could be taller by next fall. Elizabeth scoffed. She didn't look impressed by Ma's assessment. I'd rather be my height forever than deal with this. Mum walked over too, leaning against the back of the couch. Kids, they grow up so fast. Soon Elizabeth will have a home of her own, maybe even with a nice husband and some kids if she feels like it. Why a husband? Stop this hetero agenda. She sniffled. Actually, I mean, we don't know at all what her preference might be, and her parents might know. She sniffled loudly and wiped at her eye, but you could tell that it was just a bit. You tilted your head, even though you knew Elizabeth liked guys. Fair enough. Okay. It was hard to imagine her with a boyfriend or husband. She only seemed invested in hanging out with her group of friends, not chasing after boys. Ma must agree with you because she shook her head.
No.
Let's not exaggerate, she's still practically a child. But if you ever do pursue romance, Elizabeth, you can come talk to me about it. Definitely. We're always willing to lend an ear. Elizabeth's features contorted in disgust. No way, I am not talking to my mums about that. Mum's jaw dropped and she gasped at an exaggerated display of shock. Her hand came up to rest against her chest. My pearls! Ma only grinned. She didn't look offended by Elizabeth's quick response at all. It really wouldn't be so bad to come to us. I know what it's like to have a crush on a pretty boy or two. Okay, Ma's bi. Cool. I don't, but I can listen anyway. And Mum's a les. A les miserable, if you will. Mum snorted at her own joke, while Ma burst into giggles. They were having a little too much fun at Elizabeth's expense. Hey, it's nice to have them teasing her about relationships and not us for once. Elizabeth certainly wasn't feeling the amusement, but she rolled her eyes and sat up.
Thanks.
I'm going back to my room. I'd rather melt alone, thanks. She strode off towards the staircase, taking the steps two at a time. Your mum stared after her, then turned to each other with raised eyebrows. Whoops, looked like we scared her off with all that romance talk.
Well?
Oh well, we'll get her next time. You watched them titter with some surprise. Obviously your mums liked women, but you had no idea that Ma liked guys too. Today was the first time you'd heard her say something like that. Ma, you'd like guys and girls? Yeah, by pride, baby! Ma turned to you, happy to bring you into things now that you'd spoken up. She smiled and nodded. That's right. I like both. But I like your mum most out of everyone. She's special. Ma's smile turned all soft in the corners like it usually did when she looked at her. She pinched Mum's cheek lightly. Lightly. Mum reached up to cup a hand over Ma's. Even when Ma stopped pulling her cheek, their hands remained clasped together. Oh, look at them blush. It's so sweet.
You're fantastic.
Thanks, Lani. I think most women have charm, but no one can hold a candle to you.
Aww.
Oh, Pamela. Ma beamed, then kissed Mum on the cheek she'd been pinching before. Well, the moment was very sweet. You cringed. Parents were embarrassing. I mean, we're 13. Presentation is amazing. It's so good. Best game? Oh, perfect. Simple perfection. You slouched down as if that would hide you from sight. Why were parents like that? Ma looked back at you, letting Mum's hand go with a brief squeeze. She set her down next to you and Mum followed soon after. You know, I'm also here to listen to you whenever you're ready. That offer isn't just for Elizabeth. In fact, I think that talk might be needed sooner for you, after all. You already have someone, isn't that right? No! Ma, no! No! Don't embarrass us! Ma, no! Shook her head and elbowed Ma, but it was futile. Meddler. You blushed fiercely. You also elbowed her. Ma! Don't have someone. Yeah, that's true. Ma! Ma only giggled and smiled, not looking the least bit apologetic. There's no rush, of course. You can take all the time you need to figure out what or who you want.
It's okay.
Don't think you have to stick with whatever you come up with right now, either. Life's nice like that. It can change, and you can learn. Mum nodded her agreement. Two of us are happy to hear you out, and we may be able to relate better than you think. Still, we won't push the topic. At least, most of the time. She gave Ma the weakest scathing look possible while being unable to stop grinning. Ah! Oh, I can scroll back. I can scroll, and it goes back. Okay, cool, cool, cool. We've learned the secrets. Don't have to worry about it. I'd rather pass on all that. I mean, we're 13. I'd rather pass on all that.
It's no trouble.
Of course. We just want to make sure you knew that we're always here. Mum let out another exaggerated sniffle. To take a genius to realize it was fake. First Elizabeth and now you, Luffy. Do you have to grow up? Yes, children tend to do that from time to time. Parents quickly grew absorbed in their conversation about rearing kids. You took that as your cue to leave. Getting up so you could spend some time alone in your room too. They let you go without a problem, so you made your way up the stairs. You let out a sigh once you stepped into your room. It was just as sweltering in there as it was in the living room. Possibly even a little warmer. You couldn't even open your window since it was hotter outside and you just let the AC out. You dragged your feet as you crossed the room. You checked your current sweltering condition in the mirror as you passed by it. You thought back to the conversation you'd had downstairs about growing up and all that. After a moment, you stepped a bit closer to the mirror. You stared into it, then turned away from the surface to look down at yourself. You were definitely growing, alright. It was weird thinking about how you were now in comparison to what you'd been when you were younger. When it came to your body, I was getting some muscle definition nowadays. Was chubby, was slender, was heavy set, was sort of scrawny. So I was always very slender. I was always very scrawny, really. I was very, very skinny. But I also wasn't as small as we've been going for. So what do we want to go for? I feel like the kind of look we've picked works nicely with chubby. I think we got a little bit of chub. A cute. Chubby. Shifted to the side, your head still facing forward and continuing the self-evaluation from this viewpoint. Ooh, interesting. Yo, that's so cool. That's really good. Absolute yo. Wedge! Ba-da-da-dum-ba-ba-da. Hello, hello. How you doing, Wedge? Hope you're doing well, my love. What were you up to? Tell me more, tell me more. We are Catboi Cafeing today. My sleeve is falling down. We are Catboi Cafeing today as a reward for my chat for funding my gaming PC, which I should hopefully be able to order in the next couple days. We are playing a cute dating sim, and we've got some sub goals and things like that. But how are you doing, my beautiful, beautiful boy? I don't have any mods in chat right now who can do the shout out thing, so shout out at Wedge. Wedge is a Western Australian variety streamer who is a good friend of mine. I really love spending time with Wedge. Wedge is just a super, super fun human being. Did Hi-Fi Rush Challenge run, then I played half of Sonic Adventure 2. Heck yeah, you're so tired. Man, I get that. I'm so tired, man. I need like 40 naps. But here we are. Oh, and raiders, if you don't need to raid and run, please do look after yourself. Do whatever you need to do to look after yourself. Whether that is have a glass of water. You're streaming for 10 hours? What the heck, bro? Glass of water, have a nap, a bite to eat, overthrow the patriarchy, whatever you need to do to look after yourself. I care about you. So we are currently, this game you play through 4 important summers of your life. The first one is when we were 8. This is the second one where we are 13. And it's all based around the main love interest Cove. Now, I'm just gonna go me, which is at birth you were assigned male. Your chest was only flat. Your chest was flat, but you thought about it being different. Your chest was flat by birth, but you aimed to have breasts through hormone therapy. This is so good. I'm so stoked by the representation in this. Like, I'm cis, but this is so good. I'm so happy with this. And that's just the way it was for you. Your fingers brushed over your cheeks as you stared at the freckles dusting your features. It was as if they quadrupled in the summertime with all the extra sun. You took a step backwards, finishing with your impromptu inspection. You locked eyes with your reflection, cocking your head to the side, all things considered. Self-conscious, just wanted to look different than you did. I think you didn't look too bad. A slight smile tugged at your mouth. Sure, maybe you wouldn't be a model or anything, but you weren't half bad. You shook your head roughly, putting thoughts of what you were turning into out of your mind. This wasn't the time to focus on such things. You had to find something to do in this heat. You shuffled over to your bed, collapsing onto the mattress, your brows scrunched up in thought. Time passed slowly, and to your annoyance, possible ideas about what to do were few and far between. You weren't sure how long it had been, but eventually you heard your mum call you from downstairs. Laffy, there's a call for you. Cove wants to come over. Is that all right? Yes, 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 it's all right. Please. You perked up at the words, sitting up in bed. You yelled back to her immediately. Yeah. I like that it didn't even give us the option. It knows. It knows. You got to your feet and headed downstairs, eager to see your friend. You needed to go downstairs soon anyway, because your empty stomach told you it was almost time for lunch. Just as you reached the bottom of the stairs, you saw your mum put the phone back on the receiver. She glanced at Ma, leaning her hip against the kitchen counter.
What a pickle.
Well, here comes trouble. We better prepare ourselves. Ma clicked her tongue in clear disapproval of Mum's words. He's such a good boy. Cove never wants to cause trouble. He can just be a bit thoughtless and impulsive. Oh, I know, he's very sweet, but that's what makes it more of a problem. If a stranger or some kid from school was egging Laffy on to behave badly, I think we can both agree that he'd do the right thing in the end. But if Cove Holden got into a reckless move and wanted Laffy to be a part of the ride, Can we really be certain of what call he'd make then?
Yes.
Yes, I think so. Laffy helps Cove settle down. He would have gotten himself in even more trouble without him.
Thanks.
You have a point. Bar just laughed as she turned away, still snorting. Her eyes met yours. She blinked in surprise, then waved at you with an easy grin. Mum looked over at you, noticing you at the foot of the stairs as well. Oh, I didn't expect you to come down already, Laffy. I just wanted to let you know what was happening. Well, if I hadn't come now, then I wouldn't have heard everything you said, Mom.
Pam.
Ooh, you got caught, Pam.
What?
What? You were saying things too. I didn't say anything I wouldn't have told to Laffy directly. Oh, you're unbelievable. You shook your head at your parents, even as you fought a blush when you remembered just what they'd been discussing. All right, you got me. I'm sorry for being gossipy and saying that about your friend. I can be bad too. Yeah, Mom.
Let's go.
We'll get out of your way now. Mum sighed in mock defeat, and made her way down the hall. Ma followed after her with a hushed giggle. Now you're alone in the living room, tasked with waiting for Cove. And I will say, earlier on in this day, they tried to have the relationship talk with you about Cove. So this is especially embarrassing. And that was just fine with you. If it hadn't been so hot outside, you would have visited him at his house a long time ago. You took a seat at the kitchen counter and settled in for the wait. As expected, there was a knock on the door a few minutes later. Shaq, welcome in, my friend. How you doing? Hope you're well. When you got up and answered, it was your neighbor who was standing on the other side. He came in once you stepped aside to let him pass, giving a little wave. You greeted him as you typically did. With a low five, nudged the shoulder with a noogie, with a hug. Are we like hug greeting territory? Do you think? Or are we too shy about that? Definitely not a low five. That's so awkward. Yeah, let's hug him. Because this is a regular greeting, is what it's kind of like putting us with. You stiffened in your arms and relaxed seconds after. One would think he'd be used to your hugs after all these years. Hey. His voice was cracked as he struggled to say something. You didn't feel worried about that. It was how he usually reacted when you were close by. Yeah, it was. Cove sighed and wiped at his face a bit. You noticed a sheen of sweat across his brow. He must be glad to be back in the air-conditioned place, even if he only had to walk across the street to get here. It must be obvious that you were confused by his visit, because he answered your unspoken question. I don't want to do anything, not when it's like this. He gestured vaguely to the humid air hanging around.
So...
I thought I could at least do nothing with you. Away from that trap door, cause there's something down there. Application architecture meeting, all good, enjoy. You've been having lots of meetings this week. Thought that was really sweet. His words were nice and expressed real fondness for you, in a strange sort of way, which was usually the case with Cove. Have you had lunch yet? I was gonna do it soon. He shook his head.
Not really.
I haven't really felt like eating because of the heat. I probably should have lunch. I didn't have breakfast this morning. You should really eat properly. Yeah, you didn't eat at all? Then you gotta have something now. Urged Cove in the direction of the kitchen. He stumbled after you. Okay. As one, you headed into the kitchen. You crossed your arms as you glanced around, wondering what you should scrounge up for a meal. I don't want to eat anything that's warmed up. Is there something cold or not cooked? Yeah. Through a bit of back and forth, the two of you concluded that you should raid the fridge and cabinet in order to make sandwiches. With that settled, you would plan to decide on the outside layers first. There was a wide variety to choose from, since everyone in your house had their own favorites. There was white bread, wheat bread, sourdough, mixed grains, gluten-free bread, and pita pockets.
Hey.
Could you take the green one for me? Sure. You reached for the mixed grains, then made your decision. Ooh, a lettuce wrap. Cinnamon swirl bread on a sandwich? No. Yo! Bum, 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 ba, ba, da. Hello, Andre. How you doing, gorgeous? How you doing? How you doing? Hope you're doing super well. I feel like I heard you say, let's wrap up stream about 2 hours ago. 2.5 hours ago. How you doing? How we doing? How we doing, folks? Hope you're doing super well. Welcome to the Catboi Cafe. This is the second day of 3 where we are Catboi Cafeing as a reward to my community for funding our gaming PC. We are playing a cute little dating sim and we've got some sub rewards and sub goals going. But how was your stream, gorgeous? How did you get up to? I saw you were doing some beacon mining. I was just lurking a little bit. Tassie, welcome in. Hope you're well. We got the beautiful Andre. We got the beautiful Beth Portalese. And you wrapped up stream 2.5 hours later. Yeah. Welcome in, folks. Lizzie, hello. Hello. Welcome to the Catboi Cafe. Folks, if you have not followed the beautiful Andre, you should. Andre is a good friend, an awesome Aussie Western Australia Minecraft streamer. Just a super, super wonderful and great human being who I love lurking in his streams. He's just got a really good sense of humor. He's a goofy, silly boy, and I love him. Whereas Maurice, he's on the desk in front of me. I don't want to make him have to be associated with the maid outfit. You made progress with farms? Heck yeah, Andre. You make progress? That never happens. Absolutely not. But Raiders, if you do gotta look after yourself, please do. Always want you to be looking after yourself, you know. But we are playing a cute little dating sim called Our Life, Beginning and Always, where we play through 4 meaningful summers of our life. The first summer we played through was when we were 8 years old and our love interest Cove moved to town because his parents separated. This is our second summer where we are 13 and Cove's mum has come to visit. And we are getting towards the end of this scene, but we are making a sandwich and spending a hot summer day with Cove. Still here, just gonna fill up the water. Very fair. Thank you, Andre, for the hydrate. Delicious. I'm here for a lettuce wrap. Went to the fridge to get a lettuce wrap too, setting both items onto the counter. Then you had to decide what main direction the sandwich would go in. This is the most important decision we will ever make in this game. You wanted to make a truly savory style of sandwich. I only get one option. I mean, I'm here for that, but like, that's weird. Something savory would make it feel like a real meal. Trapdoor, ooh, 'cause there's something down there. Yeah. Thank you for the lurk, Beth. I appreciate you immensely. As for the specific ingredients, God, that's so many ingredients. Okay, on a lettuce wrap. So, no, probably not more lettuce. Pickles, top tier. Go some mozzarella. Some tomatoes. Some cucumber. In this, that would mean capsicum. And I reckon some, like, ham. That's a good sounding sandwich to me. For the finishing touch, you intended to top your sandwich with mustard, mayo, pesto, hot sauce, salt and pepper, ranch. No. I would top this with a, like, garlic aioli, but I guess we'll go mayonnaise. Oh, I get more. And salt and pepper.
Here, kitty. You can has cheeseburger.
Hey, Phoenix, how you doing? We're making a sandwich. The most important decision we could ever make in this game. You nodded to yourself with a quiet hum. Satisfied. The two of you bustled around the kitchen, opening and closing things in order to collect everything you needed for your individual sandwiches. You focused intently on assembling your own for the most part. When you were close to being done, though, you glanced over at your neighbor. Cove was putting his sandwich together delicately, his brow furrowed and his tongue sticking out. Just barely. There were open jars of peanut butter and honey near his plate, as well as a banana peel. So he was making a peanut butter, banana, and honey sandwich on mixed grain bread? That does sound pretty good, actually. Maybe you'd have one yourself at a different time. Peanut butter and honey goes so hard. It's a really good combo. That was always like our kind of thing in our family. Like we never did like peanut butter and like jam or jelly, as Americans would say. But like peanut butter and honey goes so hard. It's really good. Throw in a little bit of cheese in too to just like make the flavors a little bit more complex. Perfect. Like a slice of cheddar. Oh, papa. Curiosity satiated, you turned back to your plate and finished your own creation. By the time you were done, Cove had already cleaned up his workstation. He turned to face you. Crunchy or creamy peanut butter? I would go for a creamy, but I'm not much of a like crunchy texture person. Cleaned up his workstation. He turned to face you, studying your sandwich briefly. A small smile tugged at the corner of his mouth. You guessed it didn't look inedible to him, at least. Ooh, we got a ooh-ooh. Ooh-ooh. You're welcome. So yeah, there's custom redeems today. Where you can swap my ears, make me do a fit check, make me do some voice acty things of ooh-woos and nyas. As well as if you gift subs of various levels or amounts, you can get the individual rewards on the right there, such as getting your name on the board, a quick sketch on the board, a custom Discord role, as well as a custom recorded voice message for you that you could put on your phone as an alert or something like that, or even on your stream if you're a streamer. Like, yeah, thanks for the sub. Oh no, I did it for free! It's alright, the music's in the background. You can't use it. A small smile tugged at the corners of his mouth. You guessed it didn't look inedible to him, at least. 38.9k need to save for Wargone? Heck yeah. Done? Yeah.
Cool.
Cool. He waited as you quickly returned the ingredients and cleaned a few utensils. Then the two of you collected your respective plates. You both agreed on heading upstairs to hang out in your room. You and Cove entered your bedroom while balancing your food on the plates. Nothing fell, so it was a successful trip. Cove took a seat on the ground, stretching out on the hardwood floor in an attempt to keep a bit cooler. He immediately took a big bite of his sandwich, chewed, then hummed happily. This sandwich is really good. At least that's something. At this point, you sat down and started on your own sandwich. Nodded, we were enjoying ours too. Shrugged, it was okay. Yeah, no, that sounds like an awesome sandwich we made. I would love that. Obviously, you were a pro at making sandwiches. He leaned back on his hands while chewing and glanced around. His every movement was sluggish. Want to do something? Yeah, I do, Cove. Anything with you. It seemed the plan of not doing anything at all had already worn thin, despite his lack of enthusiasm. Like what? He rolled his head back, looking up at the ceiling. What about Hangman? Sure, why not? You put your plate to the side and pulled out some markers and scrap paper. As you laid everything on the floor, he scooted back to make more room in front of you. Cove picked up one of the markers with his right hand, while keeping a half slice of sandwich in his left.
That's,
Can I pick the phrase? Oh, please let it be I love you. Or kiss me. If you want to. He smiled briefly before he bent over the paper and began sketching the hangman frame. Then he stopped, pursing his lips in thought. He tapped the end of his marker against his cheek. Be romantic, be romantic, be romantic, be romantic, be romantic. You watched silently as Cove looked down at the paper, up at your face, and then off to the side in a loop. His marker kept tapping his cheek the entire time. He raised an eyebrow. He'd suggested the game and wanted to pick the phrase, but it looked like he didn't actually have anything in mind for it. Finally, he put empty lines on the paper to signify spots for letters. Alright, you can start guessing. Are we just legit gonna play Hangman now? You peered over. His secret phrase consisted of 3 words. The first 2 had 3 letters, and the last had 4. You thought hard about what your first guess would be. Okay, so A is always like a good bet, right? Alright, we got one. After the first round, you were about to take another bite of your sandwich when a thought occurred to you. I wonder if anyone turned off the TV downstairs. TV, it was on earlier, but no one was really watching, then everyone started leaving the living room. I didn't turn it off. It might still be on downstairs with no one there. Cove smiled crookedly at that.
oh.
Poor show, playing with no one else to enjoy it? What was it? You squinted off into the middle distance, trying to recall the show's name. I feel like it was some kind of crime-solving drama. Aha, Law and Order SVU! Cove nodded sleepily. His eyes closed, then opened again with some effort. Can you give any specifics? Maybe I can guess it. Well, rested your chin on your open palm, groggily thinking as hard as you could. I remember there was a woman with long blonde hair, I think. She was the one solving crimes, like as a detective or something. There were scenes in a police station because someone got arrested. You lapsed into silence, the both of you thoughtful, then Cove chuckled. It wasn't that funny, but you joined in the laughter anyway.
I don't know.
I don't know what that is. Me neither, and I just saw it. Alright. I feel like this could be an R, so let's go for like an R and see what we get. Yeah, so that's going to be R, as in RU. I genuinely can't think of like what the first word could be that's a 3-letter word that would follow before R. Another round came and went, and Cove grumbled as he readjusted himself. His features were twisted in a grimace. I feel so sticky. Oh, I'm gonna be stuck to this floor forever now. Oh my, Cove. I'll have to charge you rent then? That's such a good line. That's such a good line. You could be my new roomie if you want. It looks like we'll both be stuck here forever then. I'm sticky too. No way I'll peel you off if I have to. One of these two. Absolutely one of these two. You can be my new roomie if you want. He smiled slightly at your joking suggestion. That wouldn't be so bad. You couldn't help but smile too. Now that you thought about it, being roommates with Cove could be fun. Then you return to the game. Okay, so we know that's an E, so let's just do that, see if we get another one. I don't think it's going to let us, like, guess. So I think we just have to guess letter by letter, but we at least knew that second word. Cove spoke up once more, catching your attention. He was peering down at the piece of paper between you, his expression thoughtful. You know, Hangman is a kind of creepy game. Why did people come up with it? Why did they play it? Maybe it's what they had instead of real court trials back then. Lol. I've always wondered about that. I'll have to look it up later. It's a really old game. No one's sure where that name came from. I'll have to look it up later.
Maybe.
Maybe I'll do that too. That said, the two of you turned your attention back to the game. Alright. What three-letter word could precede R? Oh, how R, maybe? Let's go for an O. Okay, yeah, so it'll be a how R. I don't know. Something. By this point, Cove had finished his sandwich. Yours was almost gone too, but now you were getting thirsty. You brought it up to your neighbor. Should we go downstairs to get some drinks? I was thinking that too, but I don't really want to get up. Me neither. You looked over at him, narrowing your eyes with false suspicion. But hey, what happened to you not being able to get up ever again? Because you were stuck to the floor. That's still true. I mean, we're not actually going, are we? I only thought about it. You rolled your eyes, dropped the issue, defeated. Cove grinned a little at your disappointment over his victory. Well, let's go for the H again. Oh, so it's not how. No, sorry, I'm gonna start adding the little person. Now the question is, are we trying to guess a phrase? Is he just saying a random sentence to us? Oh, you are, maybe? Let's try you. Yeah, okay, it's you. Oh my god, is it you are cute? Guys, is it you are cute? Guys, is it you are cute? Guys, I might melt. I might melt. Guys. Guys. Uh-huh. Yep. Alright. Yeah. See? Oh my god, it's you are cute. Holy heck. Did we just guess B now? You are cube. Guys. Guys, I'm gonna melt. You are cute. Oh my god. That was the phrase that Cove had spent so long settling on. You stared at it. A few correct letters in, you had a feeling you knew what the phrase was. Still, you felt butterflies in your stomach at seeing it clear as day on the paper. Oh my god. Guys, I'm gonna faint. You took in the words for a moment longer, then you looked up at Cove. He had trouble meeting your shocked gaze, a smile settling awkwardly on his lips. His next words left him in a mumble. It was all I could think of at the time. Covered your face bashfully. You gave him a playful shove, still in disbelief. You stayed where you were, unable to move. You fell backwards onto the floor from your sitting position. You wrapped your arms around him. It was instinct. You leaned over and wrapped your arms around him in a hug. Oh, you just let out a small squeak. Cove smiled a bit more clearly, still feeling awkward about the move he pulled. He turned away from you, his cheeks tinted pink. A moment passed between the two of you. Now would be the perfect time to change the subject, but you didn't. He didn't either. Damn straight we didn't. Things started feeling a bit more personal all of a sudden. You looked into Cove's ocean eyes and saw yourself staring back. I really think you're cute. Seriously. Cove's features softened at your words, but he remained serious. Thanks. I meant it, too. Finally, he broke the eye contact. Guys, I'm melting. This is so cute. I've heard at some point you're supposed to start liking types of people. Guys or girls or whatever, whoever.
I don't know.
I haven't really noticed that yet. Nothing's changed, not in a big way, not for everybody. Maybe I have to grow up more, but at least with... You waited, but he trailed off. He wasn't going to keep talking. You glanced down. You were so close to hearing what he had to say. You shook off the strangeness of the situation and tried to be supportive. Maybe you just don't like anybody. Or maybe you like all types of people. That's normal too. Cove seemed to appreciate that thought, if the smile that appeared on his lip was any indication. The expression was quick to disappear. He peered over at you, looking nervous. Okay, what about you? What kind of person do you like? He winced and seemed to be mentally kicking himself for saying it like that. You considered his question carefully. Did you know who or what you liked? You were starting to have physical attraction in a general way. You only seemed to feel physical attraction in specific cases and situations. You didn't really have a physical interest in other people. You didn't think you could tell if you had an interest in people physically. There was only one person you'd ever had those kinds of feelings for. Guys, this is a huge decision. Look, we're here for Cove and Cove alone. My favorite Christmas movie, Cove Alone. There was only one person you've ever had those kind of feelings for. You were starting to have romantic attraction in a general way. I love this. This is so good. The representation, the understanding of the difference between romantic attraction and physical attraction. I love this. I think you were starting to have romantic attraction in a general way, though. Specifically when it came to how you felt towards boys. Found them attractive. You thought you'd be happy to be with a guy someday. And how you felt towards girls? We're going to be bi. I'm bi. People who aren't exclusively male or female. Found them attractive. You thought you'd be happy to be with someone non-binary. Absolutely. You returned your attention to Cove. He was waiting patiently for your response. You explained how you felt to Cove. He listened intently, taking in every word as you tried to convey how you felt. He definitely perked up a bit when you mentioned having some interest in romantic relationships. Oh, he's got this goofy, stupid face again. Who drew this smile? It's so goofy. Especially in this combination of features. And he scratched the back of his head, sheepish. I'm not really sure how we ended up talking about all this when we started out by just playing Hangman. What do you mean? You wrote you were cute! What do you mean? But it was good, I think. I think so too. Cove chuckled a little bashfully. He glanced around, clearly scrambling for something else to say. So, have you gotten any new accessories or stuff recently? I have. Conversation took a lighter turn after that, and it felt like you got closer that afternoon, and we talked about how he constantly wear anklets now that he said they were sexy. Finally, the blazing sun began to set. To your relief, the air cooled down a bit as a result. You pulled yourself off the floor, as did Cove, with some minor complaint. You both stretched your arms, groaning, and yawned into your hands. Ooh. You glanced out your window briefly, taking in the soft reds, pinks, and purples of the late afternoon sky. Somehow, you had made it through the scorching hot day in one piece. Cove turned towards you, motioning towards your window with his chin. Want to go outside? It might be better out there than it is in here now. Sure. The two of you took your time heading downstairs. You stopped briefly to grab a drink of water, then continued on your way. You stepped outside, one after the other, your destination being the familiar hills behind your house. This time of day, it was quiet outside. The flowers blew gently in the wind, petals trembling but stubbornly hanging in there. You felt the breeze cool your heated skin, and you relaxed your shoulders. Cove closed his eyes, releasing a deep breath. I really love it out here. Oh, your opinion sure has changed since you were first on this hill? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. We quietly enjoy the moment. Cove smiled. It was clear that he was enjoying it too. A beat passed, but his gaze didn't stray from your own. His voice was impossibly soft when he spoke up again. I'm glad I met you, Luffy. You're really important to me, you know? You're special to me, Cove. Your voice came out equally delicate, from the way his features brightened though. You knew he heard you. Then Cove reached over and held your hand without another word. Guys, it's happening. He held our hand. Guys, it's happening. He's holding our hand. Even as the sun disappeared completely and the sky darkened, you and Cove remained side by side for as long as you possibly could. Oh my god, guys, we held hands. Alright, time for the final scene. And then summer ended. There was no denying it. Today was the very last day of summer. Tomorrow, you were heading to class. You were excited to go back. Anxiety gnawed at your stomach. It was a bummer. Your feelings were muddled. I think anxiety. Going back to school meant handing over the autonomy you've had over the past weeks. You had very little control over what you did at school or who you shared a class with. It was with a heavy heart that you chose your outfit for your final day of freedom. Life was going to be different. You had come to think of the summer vacation as the norm. The school sucked up the majority of the year, whereas the summer vacation was just a respite in the middle. Oh, that's right. That's a weird thing to me. Because, like, in the Southern Hemisphere, like, summer is the end of the year. It's weird to me that, like, summer's in the middle. Like, summer break is in the middle of the school year. That's strange to me. So rather than it being different, it was kind of, return to the normal? What did your normal life really mean? You considered how fondly your mums talked about their summer vacations as kids. You dimly recognized that one year the pattern of school and summer itself would be over for good. It was hard to imagine. You'd gotten distracted, one arm still out of a sleeve. You pulled it through and put your mind back to the present. The season had brought about plenty of changes of its own. Like Kyra's visit, though that too was coming to an end today. You were happy you'd finally got the chance to know her. You had become extremely fond of her. You didn't really like her. Your mind wasn't made up on how you felt about her. You didn't care one way or the other. You were happy you'd finally got the chance to know her. She was interesting to be around. You liked how easy it was to talk to her. You finished dressing, which was good. Cove would be there any moment. You'd agreed to see his mum off together. Officially, the plan was that he would come over to bring you round to his house when she was ready to set off. You both knew that you'd be hanging out for at least a little while beforehand. Kyra's visit had troubled Cove when it first happened. It had been a sudden change. Hydrate, thank you, Yarrow. Welcome in, lovely. How are you doing? How you doing, my favorite of Yarrows of the Yards? It had been a sudden change, but thanks to Mr. Holden's infamous tendency to surprise people, but once he was able to adjust, he'd been in pretty good spirits with her around. It was a relief for everyone. You turned to your desk where the box containing your accessories resided. You'd gone out and bought an anklet. You'd gone and bought several anklets. Accessories reminded you of that anklet conversation. You still didn't have any yourself. I love all the anklets. Yeah, 100% we'd gone out and bought several anklets. Your eyes bored into the box. Should you wear any for Cove's visit today? Yeah, 100%. I'm doing well using some last-minute adrenaline to finish cleaning the house for my guests who are arriving in about now. Oh, I know that feel. Managed to vacuum every room I needed to? Heck yeah, I'm proud of you. Several anklets? That's too much, but we put an anklet on. Your heart pounded as you slipped the hoop through the clasp and fastened it in place. Would Cove spot it? Your face grew hot as you imagined how he might react. The next thought that crossed your mind was, it would only be polite to get the door for Cove. You went downstairs to wait. You couldn't wait to see Cove, so you went downstairs to meet him when he arrived. Cove knew your house well enough. You could lounge in your room to wait for him. Oh no, we cannot wait to see him. This is our last day of summer, and we're gonna make it count. You bounded and we're wearing our anklet. Today, we're getting our damn kiss. You bounded down the stairs like we held hands in the last episode. I'm so excited. You bounded down the stairs, your hand gliding over the rail. You wanted to make sure you got there first. If you didn't hurry, your mums might answer it. It was only a few minutes later when the doorbell rang. As you'd chosen to stand beside it to wait for Cove, there was no delay in pulling it over. Wow, way to look desperate, us. Cove was there, just as you'd expected. Came to the annoying conclusion that I'm not going to be able to independently move about at the first LARP in a few weeks. Oh, that sucks. Terrain is so muddy and soggy, they had to move our camp to a location I can't get into or out of on your own. Oh, that's so disappointing. I'm sorry to hear that. I understand why, but it's disappointing. Cove was there, just as you'd expected. Seeing you, he smiled quietly.
Hey.
Hey. Hi. Smiling, you beckoned for him to come in and follow you upstairs. His hair is so good, right? Ali, welcome in, welcome in. Hope you're doing super well. We are Catboi Cafeing. It is the Catboi Cafe week. We are playing a cute dating sim. This is the final day of our second summer. The first summer we were 8 years old. This summer we are 13. And this is our love interest, Cove. I hope you're doing well. I hope your stream was nice. What did you get up to? Smiling, you beckoned for him to come in and follow you upstairs. Ooh. Back up in your room, you sat down on your bed and waited for Cove to settle in as you knew he would. With other guests... Gotta go, phone's on 7%. No, you're catching the flicker disease.
Goodbye, 'cause now it's time to go.
Take care, Yarrow. I'm sorry to hear your charger broke. I love you to bits. Hope your shindig tonight is great. Today is great, and I appreciate you immensely. With other guests, you might have offered them a seat, but you and Cove were long past those tentative stages of friendship. Your room was as familiar to him as his own. You watched as Cove sat down in your desk chair, his preferred spot. He rolled it closer to the bed to make it easier to chat, tweaking the angle so that it was fully facing you. Once happy with the position, he leaned in towards you, hands held in his lap. His actions weren't the one of someone who planned on moving from his spot anytime soon, even though you had an appointment to keep together that day. When is your mum leaving?
Don't worry about it.
We've got some time. She's still got a shower and stuff before she goes. She didn't want me to just keep hanging around while she was doing that. He lifted his head, his gaze drifting out through the window, and chuckled. Why do you keep giving him that stupid, goofy-ass face? Stop it! I can't believe she's already leaving, just when I'm getting used to her being there every day. He leaned back in the chair, a wry smile tickling his cheeks. She'll be back. He cocked his head thoughtfully before shrugging. Ran a hand through his hair before shaking his head, as if shaking off the topic like a dog whipping off water following a dip in the sea. Cove looked back to you, lips parted as if he was about to speak, but instead his eyes widened and his mouth closed into a tiny frown. Something had caught his attention. Was it the anklet? Something wrapped around where the end of your leg met your foot. He cast his eyes back to your face, then down to your ankle, and back to your face. He repeated the process once, twice more, as if struggling to hold the two items in tandem. Maybe he was weighing up whether this could be a coincidence or not. It sure isn't. Maybe he was just too shy to verbalize his thoughts, or was still trying to find the words, and this was the most he could manage. The attention made you feel bashful, amused, thrilled. You felt energized by how impactful it had been, wanting to leap up, but not wanting to break the spell the jewelry had placed on Cove. On his next glance back to your face, Cove saw your expression had shifted. You watched as his bewilderment eroded into mortification as he realized that he had been caught staring. He quickly spun in the chair to face the wall instead, allowing you to glimpse the flush that had spread all the way to his ears. He twisted in his seat, wringing his hands and determinedly avoiding looking in your direction again. It seemed that he decided against saying anything at all. Does it look good? Cove mumbled something unintelligible as he slumped lower. With how he was hunched over, the quiet words had no chance of reaching you. You weren't going to get anything out of him in this state. You waited for him to come around before speaking again. Finally, he piped up, very softly.
That's,
Did you do it because of what I said before? I mean, you know. Last few words were whispered as though they were a precious secret. The ankle bracelet. So for those who don't have context, when we were on a road trip and talking together, he told us that he thought ankle bracelets were cute. Yes. His eyes squeezed shut. You had no idea if the answer made him feel better or more nervous. He eventually looked down at his lap, where his fingers were flexing and curling in an awkward dance of nerves. His chest rose as he breathed deep. Well, it looks good on you. Your heart skidded in your chest, like a stone skipping across water. One big leap from the unexpected compliment, followed by a series of shorter ones as you absorbed the words. You beamed at him. He was looking at you again, at last, and returned the smile shyly. This really couldn't have worked out better, you thought. And there was nothing else he could add after that. Cove's posture teetered, his eyelids blinking quickly. Laufey, I actually kind of wanted to talk about... He drew a deep breath before concluding the sentence.
I mean...
What happened on the trip? His voice shook as he pushed the words out. Your eyes grew. At the reaction, Cove pulled his arms around his chest, shoulders hunching inwards. You knew what he was implying, back when you'd been in the loft and nearly kissed. Cove hadn't breathed a word about it since it happened, or well, almost happened.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry for moving away like that when you tried to... He dropped the sentence. You didn't push for him to finish. It had conveyed what it needed. And I'm sorry for how I've been since, acting like it didn't even happen. I've thought about it. I mean, I haven't forgotten about it. I don't keep thinking about it all the time. He hung his red-cheeked head forehead propped up by a couple of fingers. You could tell that he was already regretting how this was going.
Sorry.
Sorry for being weird. It's just, I kind of thought or hoped sometime I'd be able to do this with me talking about everything. Everything? There's more? He nodded ever so slightly. Your face felt a lot hotter after that. Cove brightened a little at your positive reaction, and his explanation continued. Well, sort of picture how it might go, what it'd be like with you and me. But just the first part, I could never imagine anything that had come after, and now it's actually happened. We're there, it's... Took another deep breath, stuttering on the exhale.
That's,
This makes things different. Things don't have to be different. He gave you a wan smile. Thanks, but I don't think that'll work. I can't just forget. I definitely can't. His wide eyes met yours as he looked at you, less burdened from the anxiety that had built inside him. You smiled reassuringly. Or do you want to try again? The kiss? You want to try again? No. The word shot out reflexively, he couldn't help it, but immediately cringed at himself. Do you really mean that? No. I mean, I do. I want to. I want to try again if you still want to. Guys, it's happening. Guys, it's happening. We're finally getting to kiss Cove. And Edison's not even here. You kissed him. You untangled yourself from your resting position and stood up. Realizing your intent to actually go for it, Cove straightened up in the chair, his hands coiled together in his lap. As you moved towards him, you noticed his knees knocking together as he trembled. His decision not to rise from the chair made perfect sense. If he was that shaky while sitting down, there was no way he'd manage to stand without at least one of you falling over. Your legs brushed against his quivering ones as you came to a stop in front of him. Cove was staring up at you. As you leaned in towards him, he echoed the motion and drew in towards you. Guys, it's happening! Once you were close enough to feel Cove's breath on your face, you closed your eyes. The last thing you saw was Cove quickly doing the same. Guys, we kissed! We kissed! Yeah! Yeah! Your lips met with Cove's for a moment. His lips were pressed tightly together, unyielding. But it was all right. You were kissing him. And he was kissing you. Your stomach somersaulted. You couldn't believe it was really happening. In that moment, it felt warm. And it felt nice. And it felt right. You drew back, and Cove slipped down into the chair. The knuckles of his hands paled after gripping so tightly. Thinking that he could do with some space to breathe, figuratively and literally, you took a step back. Cove shot up, his stance rigid. Cove plastered a hand over his mouth, his eyes shut tight. His back then became bowed, shrinking him down. You could only just make out a few words he'd managed to summon.
Oh my god,
Oh my god. Can't believe we actually... His eyes flew open wide, but he didn't look your way, let alone meet your gaze.
Oh my god.
We kissed. You were full of nerves. His reaction was really cute. You watched him adoringly as he tried to gather his senses. I've always been the kind of confident one, so this makes sense. Cove only slammed his eyes closed once again. Did you like it? Still holding the hand to his face, but in an attempt to answer, he emitted a muffled whimper. With that obviously not working, he uncovered his face at last, bringing the hand to lay against his chest and looked at you. Yeah. He opened his mouth, poised to speak, and pursed his lips as words failed him. On his third or fourth attempt, you heard what he had to say. I did like it. I'm glad that we... You know. He swallowed, seemingly not able to speak the actual word. You could relate. It was really embarrassing to say it out loud. You grinned, thrilled that the experience had been a welcome one. The smile on Cove's face was real, but wary. Not unlike the one he wore after a long study session. Like when he'd mastered something that had previously evaded him, the work had been hard, but the reward had been worth it. With some newfound confidence, he drew himself up as he inhaled deeply. Each word he spoke next was delicate. Laffy, I like you. A lot. Probably way too much. He ducked his head bashfully and opened an eye, peeking at you through the hair that had fallen over his face like a veil. He managed to smile.
Thanks for waiting for me.
Thanks for waiting for me. Why would you give him this stupid, goofy face again? In this moment? Why? This goofy-ass face? Why? Why? Thanks for waiting for me. His eyes sparkled just looking at you. His affection transparently clear. He never could hide what he was feeling, and you couldn't be more grateful for that today. I like you too. Cove squeaked out a nervous giggle. He curled his hand into a loose fist and brushed the knuckles idly against his cheek. Words evaded him as he opened his mouth and closed it again. I don't... He gave up on finishing the sentence, instead just smiling again. He rubbed his eyes with the heel of his hands. It was an action usually reserved for much later in the day, but at this point it already felt like a long day. Cove then pressed a hand to his creased forehead.
Oh my god.
Does this mean I'm your... boyfriend or something now? Should we tell our parents? I don't know what dad or mum would do. There were a lot of concerns in there. You honed in on the simplest. There was no way your mums would let you have a boyfriend, even though that word juxtaposed with Cove's name made your heart race. Mine neither. It's not fair. Pouting, you huffed and railed against the injustice of it all. Cove lifted his hand from his chest and reached towards you, halting halfway, then slowly, cautiously, hooked his fingers around yours, his palm pressed against the back of your hand. You held his hand back. You rotated your hand so that you were palm to palm with Cove, your thumbs crossing one another. We can get it to work. We always figure things out sooner or later. Your black eyes locked with his and said the words that your smiling mouth couldn't. His eyes widened. Message received. He returned the smile eagerly, his grip on your hand tightening. Ah. Back one. Laffy! Cove! No, Mum, no! The sudden call from downstairs caught you both unaware. You'd nearly forgotten the world outside your room. From the guilty look on his face, Cove had done the same. Just had a call. Cove's mum is ready to go. If you're quick, she might keep the mandated motherly smothering to a minimum. You doubted that, but it was nice that Mum and Miss Priest had their strange sense of humor in common. Your eyes met Cove's. Wordlessly, you headed downstairs together. Each step on the way there was painfully slow, like he was trying to delay the inevitable. His whole body tensed leaving the house, and Cove froze altogether before you could cross the street.
Oh.
Doors open. Dad must be taking her stuff out. He swallowed hard. She's really gonna leave. You smiled at him reassuringly. You gave his back a pat, rested your hand on his arm. We rest our hand on his arm. Felt a small shiver ripple through his body as the warmth from your hand sank in. Cove looked at you like he was hoping you had a solution for how he was feeling, and all you could do was give his arm a squeeze for support. At that, some of the conflict warring on his face eased a bit. Together you went across the street and inside his house, finding his parents in the living room surrounded by his mum's packed things. Hey kids! Good timing. I just called the taxi.
Hi.
Hi, Luffy. So glad I got to see you today. It was fabulous getting to know you this summer. I finally got to put a face to the name I've heard so many times. She winked, and Cove pouted on cue over the teasing. I'm really happy I got to meet you two. Hopefully it won't be too long before we see each other again. Nodding, Kyra turned her attention back to her boys. She patted Cliff on the arm with a warm smile, and then she enveloped Cove in a crushing hug. Initially, Cove squirmed to break free from her grip, but his mum was unfazed and kept him locked in place. Heartbeats later, he gave in and hugged her back tightly.
I'm so glad.
And I'm so happy this trip was a success. Cliff looked like he was bursting with pride. And then Cove stiffened. Kyra loosened her hold on him enough to study his face, concerned. She spoke her next words in a whisper that had been meant just for her son.
What do you think?
Do you want to unshelve it? Raising an eyebrow, Cliff watched him carefully. His smile began to falter.
What's wrong?
What's wrong? Cove's gaze moved to the floor. It looked like he was grappling with where to begin, but then Cliff smacked a hand to his own cheek. The noise caught... Ow. Everyone's attention. Cliff's eyes were wide, and you could clearly see the light bulb moment he was experiencing on his face. It shouldn't have been a surprise. I went behind your back again. Yeah. And it only took me until the very last moment to realize it. Crossing his arms, Cliff laughed at himself. You could tell it was out of frustration and disbelief, rather than the usual good-natured feelings. I'm so sorry. I really thought... I thought I had got better at this. You have. Cove's voice was small. It was enough to break through his dad's thoughts. Cliff's mouth pulled into a small smile.
It's okay.
It's been a long time since something like this happened. Not long enough. You deserve better than a blockhead falling back into old habits just because things seem to be going good.
I'm trying.
It won't keep happening, I promise. I'll work on it. We can all work on it. I can try harder myself to be in the loop on what's actually happening over here. Happy smile quickly spread across Cove's face, and he answered delicately. Okay. You felt relieved seeing how much the whole family had grown together since you first met them. They could talk to each other more easily. After that, it wasn't long before the taxi arrived. Rolling up in front of the house and in a clear view of the open door, Kyra stood up, smiling sadly. Well, that's my ride. Yeah. Try to do that at the same time. The matching reply got a chuckle out of Kyra as you all filed out of the house. Father and son went with Kyra's bags in hand. Once outside, you spotted your family waiting by the street, and to your surprise, Derek was also with them. We spent a surprising lack amount of time with Derek this summer. I thought he'd be involved in more of the scenes. He stood uncomfortably, and he waved as soon as you noticed him.
What's up?
Hey, Laffy. Hi, Cove. When did you get here? My dad dropped me off just a little bit ago. Thought I could visit one more time before school started.
Sorry.
You picked a busy time. Sorry. Derek couldn't even look at Cove. Oh, interesting. Derek, he kept nervously rolling a pebble with the bottom of his shoe.
Sorry.
I wasn't thinking that your mum would be leaving today. I'm sorry, dude. What? You're not interrupting anything. You're always welcome here. It would have been sad if I didn't get to say goodbye before leaving. Derek came to hanging out often, so it was inevitable that the two had met at some point this season. I think so too. It was apparent Derek would have preferred to have gotten there at a more opportune moment. He never liked seeming impolite, but their reassuring words soothed his worries. The tension he was holding in his body lessened, and he looked like he was feeling much more like himself. Bye, Derek. It was fun getting to know you. Bye, ma'am. Is there anything I can do to help? Nah, don't worry yourself over that. We're just about set. In that short amount of time, Cliff had gathered and packed the bags into the trunk. Kyra took one last look at everyone and sighed. All right, I don't want to keep the driver waiting. It's time to head out. The little crowd that had formed around started their chorus of farewells and well wishes traveling. But Kyra still made no move to get into the taxi. She placed her attention on Cove. I'll call when I get to the airport, and when I make it to Nevada. Also, you better call the moment you walk in the door at home, otherwise we'll be wondering all night if you got into trouble on the way there.
Can do.
I can do that. And could you call tomorrow, too? So I can tell you how school went? Of course. I want to hear all about it. Kyra put a hand on Cove's head and affectionately ruffled his hair one last time. She then let go, only to move on to squeezing his cheeks in her hands instead. Mom!
Cove.
I love you so much, baby. He was chuckling by the time she freed him and rounding things off with a small tap to the tip of his nose. Boop. Cove rubbed at his face with a grin. Finally, she walked to the car while waving and took her seat in the taxi. Cliff hooked an arm around Cove's shoulder and kept him close as it began to pull away. For a moment, Cove looked up at his dad and then wrapped an arm across his back.
Bye.
Bye, Mom. Bye. Travel safe. Kyra rolled down the window, stuck her head out of it. She waved again while blowing kisses at Cove and Cliff. Mwah, mwah, mwah. See you again. Before she was out of sight, you decided to fall out with your family and hers, wave goodbye. Let's just wave. As the taxi headed down the road, you stuck your hand in the air to send her off. The cab turned down another road and completely disappeared from view. Cove let go of his dad and took a few steps out into the empty street, still looking in the direction his mum went. He smiled quietly, deep in thought. You got the impression Cove was feeling better than he was earlier. He was finally content with the way things were. You jumped a bit when your mum put a hand on your shoulder, pulling you away from your thoughts. She smiled when you looked at her. This was a great vacation, huh? You nodded in agreement. Yeah, it was a good one. Cove walked back over to the group, still genuinely happy. Derek grinned at him welcomingly, and everyone else there smiled at him, even Elizabeth.
Well?
Well? Marg clapped her hands together, bringing everyone's attention back to the present. It's almost lunchtime. I think I'll put something special together. Her eyes sparkled with a plan, and Mum smiled. I bet you could use some help with that. That'd be absolutely wonderful. Derek glanced between the two, his eyebrows furrowed. Is there something I could do? Your mums exchanged a fond expression. Ma shook her head. God, I love Derek. He's so cute. He's so adorable and, like, earnest looking. He's perfect.
How sweet.
That's very sweet, Derek, but it's alright. It's not your job. Technically, your dad left you under Cliff's watch. You're meant to be taken care of by him, not doing chores for the neighbors. Mum laughed a little over her own joke. You watched Derek look away, discouraged.
It's okay.
It's okay. I don't mind. He was a little bashful about it. You wondered if Mum's joke had just reminded him that he wasn't initially meant to be invited to lunch. It was getting a little awkward. Mum grinned sympathetically. Her comment was meant to lighten the mood, not bring it back down. Ma tried again to get things moving forward. Why don't you kids go have fun? You can all come back in about an hour. We'll make enough for everyone. Mum nodded in agreement.
Sounds good.
Another stunning idea, Lani. Thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. That sounds like a plan then. I don't want to cramp your style. I've got some stuff to work on, so I can be out of your hair this afternoon. You should come by later too. No reason you should be the odd man out. Mum seemed amused as Cliff rubbed his neck nervously. He grinned a wavering but pleased smile.
Thanks very much.
I appreciate the invite. They looked over the assembled crowd with knowing glances. I can help too. With as many people as you're feeding, that's gonna be a lot of food. Didn't you hear what we told Derek? It wouldn't be fair to make you cook when we're the ones who are inviting you in. Ma raised an eyebrow when Cliff waved it off.
Come on.
I insist. Derek would be missing time with his pals. This would be a break for me. I'm quite the chef. Ma and Mum exchanged further glances before Mum shrugged.
True.
An airtight argument. If you're sure, we'll be happy to have you, Chef Cliff. Cliff's grin widened and seemed more hyped than you'd expect him to be about helping with lunch. Cove shook his head, a fond smile on his face. Then all of us grown-up people will be heading inside. I assume the rest of you kiddos are staying out? Maybe not all of them. Ma tilted her head, a silent question for Elizabeth. Your sister thought for a moment.
All right.
I'll stay with the kids.
That's fantastic.
That's great. Both your mums smiled at her, while Derek and Cove didn't seem to appreciate her phrasing. But with the plan decided, like, Cove is the same age as Derek. What is this? He looks older than Elizabeth, and Elizabeth is 15. Just you teenagers now. Elizabeth looked at you and the others, a curious expression on her face.
So,
What now? You silently wondered if Elizabeth only stayed out with you to avoid getting roped into work. But again, she could just generally want to hang out. You couldn't tell with your sister. Cove spoke up after no one else did to answer Elizabeth's question. Want to go down to the shopping street? It's been a while, and I don't think there's a whole lot of other things we could agree on. Yeah, sure.
Awesome.
Sounds awesome to me. Unlike you guys, I haven't been there 1,001 times. It's new to me. Let's do it. You strolled across the road as a group, down to the beach and then to the left. It took less than 15 minutes to arrive, one of the conveniences of Sunset Bird. The four of you looked around at the familiar shops, trying to see if anything caught your attention this time. Derek was the most enthusiastic. He checked out every stall with his eyes wide with wonder. Elizabeth and Cove were in good spirits as well. That's so cool! He ran over to a street magician who was currently doing a card trick for a group of enchanted tourists. Derek clapped when the magician showed a middle-aged man his card. Derek turned back to the group with a curious gleam on his face. This is his origin arc. Derek's gonna be a magician. What does it take to perform here anyway? Do you have to ask somebody, or do you just show up and start doing stuff? Why would you even ask? It's a public street. Hey, Miss Mayor, could I pull a rabbit out of my hat, please? Flopsy is well behaved, I promise. Elizabeth, you are incorrect. Generally, you need a busking permit. You need permission to do it as a general course of action. Derek chuckled, his eyes searching up and down the scene, at least in, like, Sydney.
Maybe?
Maybe there's a boss of the shopping street? No one does any of this around my neighborhood. It's just regular stores behind walls. It's different if someone wants a real store, but here, I'm pretty sure people are just putting on their little shows whenever they want and do whatever. That's so neat. Would we be allowed to do something too? Cove laughed, and Derek began almost vibrating with excitement. Elizabeth rolled her eyes. What would we do? Well, I don't know what. Not yet, I mean. I just found out it's a possibility, you know?
But
But there's got to be something. We know cool stuff. I'm sure if we think about it, we could plan a show that'd really get a crowd pumped. Thought it was a great idea, wanted to be part of it. You felt he could try his idea on his own? No. Bad idea. You gave the other two. You gave a look to the other two. You thought it was a great idea and wanted to be a part of it. You think I could help out too? Of course.
nice.
I knew I could count on you. Now we just need the act. It'll come to us. Right. For some amusement, the gang continued to peruse the stalls. Elizabeth found some earrings with a dangling, badly misprinted globe that everyone laughed at. Cove picked out a blob as Iceland, but Derek thought that it had to be Greenland. You know this is a world with what looks like 9 continents? I think you're both wrong. No, it's Australia! No, it's Australia. The other 3 giggled at your interjection. Suddenly Cove froze. You stared at him, then tried to see what caught his attention. When you saw a familiar face down the way, it all made sense. Oh no, is it Jeremy? Between the crowds, his bright hair stood out like a neon green bowl in a kitchen sink. It was Jeremy. Elizabeth gets to meet Jeremy. Jeremy slowly drifted his eyes down the street and his eyes widened in mutual recognition. He definitely noticed you. Derek frowned and Cove sighed. Neither of them were happy to see him again. He decided to smile at Jeremy. He just looked dismissive. Elizabeth raised an eyebrow, her gaze swept over Jeremy without a hint of a clue. Jeremy simply scoffed to himself and waded deeper into the crowd of people. Derek relaxed and exhaled loudly. I'm glad he's not going to start anything. He peeked over at Elizabeth with a tiny smirk. See? That was the mean kid.
What?
Huh? You still didn't get it? That first summer day hadn't made nearly as much of an impression on her as it did for Derek, but he smiled and waved it off. Just forget about him. I already have. He laughed and Cove smiled lightly. He seemed in a much better mood now that Jeremy was gone. Your eyes wandered over to where Jeremy disappeared. You hadn't forgotten the day you met him either. He was only going to be in town for a vacation with the parents he hated. That glimpse was probably the last time you would ever see him. Mention the realization, everyone. I don't think Jeremy will stay here with summer ending. That might have been the last time we ever see him. Yeah? Guess we won't have to worry about that guy anymore. Derek kicked a little rock on the road. It clattered forward and then rolled under a stall. But I still think it's kind of sad Jeremy turned out to be, well, like he is. It would have been nice to make another friend. Cove shook his head. He was clearly not broken up over what might have been. Maybe he'll become nicer in the future. Elizabeth rolled her eyes at the strange farewell to the odd boy, not interested in the slightest. She clearly didn't understand his impact, and at this point, she didn't want to understand. She couldn't help but wonder, though. You couldn't help but wonder, though. What would have happened if you would have interacted with Jeremy more? Jeremy was unlike anyone you had ever met before. But he was kind of pitiful. You didn't know what to think about him. You and the group moved on from the stall and from Jeremy. It didn't take long for everyone to return to the joking. You all enjoyed what little time you had left as Elizabeth mentioned the hour was almost up. The little trip had flown by and lunch must have been waiting for you now. Derek bounced on the balls of his feet
Okay.
Come on, guys, let's get going so we can eat. I'm starving. I love Derek. He's so excitable. Homebound, here we go. Cove stretched one of his arms lazily. This really does feel like the end of an anime, like, season. Let's go, then. You looked at him appraisingly. You asked Cove to carry you back to the house. Ha, 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 ha. You asked Cove to carry you back to the house. Hey, Cove. Yeah? I wanted to ask you something. Could you carry me home?
What?
What? Cove turned red, obviously flustered. Special occasion. Decided to let it go. You didn't want to push him. Just forget about it. Sure. Then you followed Elizabeth as she took it upon herself to lead the way home. She walked fast, much faster than Derek preferred. She kept gaining a lead, and then Derek would jog back up to the group. With Cove's long legs, he had no trouble keeping up. I mean, I'm small, so we stay with Derek. Gave Derek some company, which made him brighten up considerably. He brought up his idea of trying to make up a performance again, and you listened to his plans. For the most part, you could tell he was being silly on purpose, but there was a shine in his eyes. You both got so engrossed in conversation that you didn't notice how far you'd fallen behind your sister, until Cove looked over his shoulder and shouted something. Derek grinned at you and then tried to make it a race to catch up with Elizabeth. It was a pleasant walk home, and in no time you had made it back. Derek got the front door and held it open for everyone as you each moseyed inside. Honestly, I vibe a lot with Derek. I feel like I relate a lot to Derek. The three parents were still in the kitchen. They looked up and waved. Welcome back, everyone. You made it just in time.
Hey.
I hope you're hungry. So, did everyone have a nice time out? She gestured for people to take a seat at the table. Plates and silverware have already been placed out. You took your normal seat. Elizabeth sat across from you, and Derek took the seat to your left. Cove sat on your right. But he blushed a little and began fidgeting with his silverware. His dad was the first to pick up on his extra awkwardness, but your mums weren't far behind. The parents shared looks at Cove's reaction. It seemed that he was struggling with how to act normal around his dad or your parents. Or both. After what happened between the two of you upstairs.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we had a great time. It was fine. Cove shrugged, not willing to say more than that. The bank heist went off without a hitch, baby. Your joke got some chuckles going around the table. That's good in my book. Casually, Mr. Holden sat on the empty seat across from Cove. He smiled at you and all the other kids. Mom set down a platter full of water glasses on the table. She looked down at the gathering. It's a good thing we have 8 chairs. I can't remember the last time we've had a group this big over for a meal. Can you pass the drinks down to the other side? Make sure you all get one. Sure. Those close to the cups obliged and started offering waters around. As you passed Cove his drink, your hands touched. Cove froze. And every time we touch, I get this feeling. Every time we kiss, I reach for the sky. And my heart beats fun. I want it to last. Need you by my side. And so did you. Unfortunately, the cup didn't. It slipped right through both of your fingers. The glass fell down to the table, landing with a sharp clatter of glass on wood. Cove scooted his chair back with a restrained shout.
Sorry.
I'm sorry. I'll just get a towel or something. He looked around in a frantic panic, as if an object to soak up the water would magically appear if he turned his head fast enough. His dad bit his lip in worry, rising from his own seat.
Well,
Cove, what's going on? You've been a little out of it today. I mean, one, his mum left, but, like, come on, don't be, like, so clueless, Cliff. Did something happen? Cove tensed, frozen again. He stared at the water on the tabletop as if he wanted to sink into it. No matter what had happened between the two of you. Oh, we accidentally blurted out. Oh yeah, baby. We kissed. You spilled it out without a thought, like the water that spilled before. Cove gasped and his hands shot up to cover his quickly darkening face. It was silent as everyone processed. Silent. Ha! Both Mom and Ma started to laugh, and that snapped people out of their surprise. Mr. Holden slapped a hand over Cove's shoulder. Congrats! Cove flinched at the touch, but still said nothing. His hands might have well been glued to his head. What have I missed? So much, Edison! So much! We kissed! We kissed! This is the final day of summer. His mum's left. And we accidentally just blurted out to everyone that we kissed. Accidentally. His hands might have well been glued to his head. Elizabeth shook her head and you can hear her, "Can you believe this?" line in the motion. He really is your special boy. How dare you? Derek grinned at you and Cove, even if he couldn't see. He at least was happy for you. Now I'm sure we all knew this was coming sooner or later.
It happens.
I had hoped you could have waited a couple more years, but what can you do?
No.
It's a wonderful thing that you both like each other, but Mum is right that you're both young. We'll just have to chaperone you if you ever want to go on dates. Oh, they're never gonna let us be alone in our room again.
Nice work.
I'd be happy to help with that too, whenever it's needed. Cove creakily fell back into his seat. His hands hadn't moved. While his expression was unreadable, the color of his skin had reached extreme red. He crashed forward, his head smushed to the table surface, somehow curling up even more from his embarrassment. My poor baby. Isn't that still wet? No response was given. At least with his hands there, his face could have been somewhat protected from the water. You were also feeling extremely embarrassed. Probably. Feel bad for putting him in the situation, 100%. You felt bad for putting him in the situation. I'm sorry. Parents laughed more, all three of them with wide, beaming grins on their faces.
Huh.
Our families are truly uniting now then. This will be the Holden Softpaws clan's first meal together, or Softpaws Holden clan. I'm not sure which has a better ring to it. Derek's eyes were wide and he kept shooting furtive looks at the door. Apparently the grown-ups were making this too much for even him. He seemed to be one of the few people concerned for Cove's impression of a withdrawn, red-eared slider turtle. You good, bro? I feel so bad for Cove, yeah, 100%. Derek whispered encouragingly to his flattened friend. Meanwhile, Elizabeth was still unimpressed. Yeah, Derek's here. And then finally you heard a squeak. It was Cove.
Oh my god.
Please, can we please not talk about this anymore, please? Oh, sure, I think that's enough for now. We've still got to eat lunch after all. Food was placed on the table and Derek started to fill his plate. With the others following suit, Cove sighed quietly as lunch started up in earnest. Mr. Holden gave his son another pat on the back. Cove slowly straightened back up and you helped him get a towel and clean the water dripping everywhere at this point. You caught eyes with him and tried to gauge if he was unhappy with you because of this. Thankfully, he gave no impression of that. The affection he showed back in your room was strong as ever. No, the biggest thing, Edison, that you missed. It was sweltering hot. This was, I think the last episode we did. It was sweltering hot. And we go up into our room, to just like do nothing. And he suggests that we play Hangman. He asks if he can write the prompt. And do you know what it was, Edison? Do you know what the Hangman prompt is that we guessed? You are cute. I melted. And then we had like a sexuality talk, which was nice. And like, you got to decide on your physical sexuality as well as your romantic sexuality. It was really, really nice. I liked that a lot. And like, you could be bi, pan, romantic. Oh, so good. It's great. It's a really good game. I'm really, really impressed with the representation, the writing. It's been so good. And then so, because this is the final scene, this is after all the moments, we did in fact choose to wear an anklet. As everything got set up, Ma chided Elizabeth to take her elbows off the table.
Now.
And you shouldn't slouch. She pointed to Mr. Holden, who was leaning forward with both arms on the table. Oops. Mr. Holden seemed unsure about all the sudden attention and carefully rearranged his posture to something suitable for a fancy dinner. He smiled sheepishly at Ma. Elizabeth rolled her eyes and Ma gave a level look at her. You shouldn't be impolite to a guest in the house, either. Elizabeth groaned, long and long suffering. Ma giggled and Mr. Holden chuckled.
Not bad.
A lot of you could learn a thing or two from Derek. He has the best manners here. Derek blushed, but it was true. His posture was upright and formal. He even held his fork gracefully. His table manners, on top of all his attempts to aid your parents, made him the model of meal attendee behavior.
Aw.
Boss check, thank you, Edison. Good time for it. It's nothing. It's true, though, you have been a lovely guest. I've noticed that too. It's always nice when you stay over, Derek. Derek smiled and sat a little taller in his chair. And do you have anything good to say about our other guest? She looked deliberately at Cove with a teasing smirk. Or is there just nothing to say? Well, Cove is my number one, but he does still clean his hands by wiping them on his pants. Honestly, kind of same. Cove frowned at that and absentmindedly brushed his hands on his pant legs. Your mum laughed lightly.
There.
Elizabeth, you should know after all these years, Cove is hardly a guest anymore. Cove smiled awkwardly. Thanks. Manners. Who cares? I don't think it's that big of a deal. You tease Cove for his bad habit. Absolutely not. Derek was politely. You joked that Derek was basically an adult. Kept quiet, took a bite of food. Manners. Don't think I'm not seeing your elbows where they shouldn't be, Laffy. Everyone ate their meal together and continued to hang out for the afternoon. After the food, you and the others played a couple games and talked about plans for the upcoming year. The time passed by quickly, and soon it was time to part ways. Mr. Holden talked to your mums, and Cove drifted over to you, knowing that as soon as his dad finished up, he would be leaving. It'd be cool to stay, but we have some stuff to do before everything closes today.
Okay.
Yeah, bye. Could you move? I need the phone. Cove raised an eyebrow and Elizabeth impatiently gestured behind him. Cove realized he was standing right in front of where the receiver was placed. He sidestepped out of the way and shook his head, clearly thinking Elizabeth was rushing too much. Your sister made a beeline for the phone and started dialing the number of what you figured was one of her friends. Knowing Elizabeth, she was going to be on there for a while. You, Cove, and Derek shuffled closer to the door. It seemed like Mr. Holden was wrapping up his conversation, so everyone started saying their various farewells.
Talk to you later.
See you later, Cove. See you later, Cove. We gotta do this again sometime. Yeah, see you. Cove turned to you and smiled slightly. Bye, Laffy. We hug. Cove, goodbye. You step forward and spread your arms wide. Cove only had a moment to react before you encircled him in your arms. Yeah. Elliot, welcome in. What's going on? What is going on? We are playing a cute dating sim today, and we just kissed Cove. We're like dating? Guys, it's happened. Finally. Cove took a second to return the hug, surprised. He leaned into you and held on. Then he hovered nearby with a small smile on his face when it ended. You are currently jumping in joy? So am I, my dude. I'm great. This is the best day of my life. We've kissed Cove. His cheeks were slightly red, especially when he looked over and noticed that Derek had watched the whole thing. Derek smiled amusedly.
Dude.
Seriously, dude, we'll have to hang out later. I'm gonna miss you during school. He punched Cove's arm softly. Cove still rubbed the spot afterwards. Cove and his dad left soon after that. Your parents started cleaning up the house, and Elizabeth was still chatting to her friends on the phone. It was just you and Derek left. He elected to stay outside in front of the house to wait for his dad to pick him up. You decided to keep your guest company, although he was originally Cove's visitor. A light summer breeze blew through your hair, and Derek shifted his weight from foot to foot. Thanks for waiting with me. He kicked at the ground, distractedly.
Well,
Dad's still gonna be a while, so do you want to go for a walk? Okay. The two of you walked down the street again, just wandering without a destination planned. It was a quiet stroll. Too quiet for Derek being the company. You turned to him when you noticed that he wasn't saying a word. That was unusual. Derek always had something he could chat about. You weren't sure if you should ask about it. Somehow you ended up at the old park near the beach. You glanced over to Derek once more, still expecting him to say something any second now. However, nothing came from him. In fact, now you noticed a frown creeping on his face. Derek smiled when you realized you were watching. At least his mouth was turned up. There wasn't anything that really felt happy in the expression. He turned away and the smile fell off his face. His eyes stared intently at the ground, and you raised an eyebrow. Or maybe day 2 of me of your Laughy Watch Street. Here's hoping. If you want to talk about something, I'm here. I'm a little sad. It's just with school starting back up, it's going to be harder to visit. I'm going to have homework and clubs and practices and everything else.
This sucks.
It really sucks we go to different schools. His face screwed up and his fists were closed tightly together. This was really concerning him. What if we don't have time? We'll make time. We can talk over the phone and have plans for weekends. It'll be okay. No, it's not that, but I haven't even moved yet. Sadly, and that's sad. I'm sorry to hear that. That sucks so bad. So much love, my friend. Derek looked up at the sky. It was orange and purple with little wisps of clouds scattered around. A plane flew high with a jet stream trailing behind it. I hope we'll always be friends, no matter what. Even if we don't see each other for a long time, or if we get really busy, I still hope that any day could be a good day with Laughy and Phoenix. Absolutely. He cut himself off and met your eyes. There was something serious to him. Sincerely worried that you'd fall out of friendship. We're always going to be friends. Derek smiled, mostly to himself. He seemed a little more like the usual. Then for sure we have to make the most of the next year, then the year after that, and 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 we're going to do that performance on the sidewalk of the beach because we're going to be magicians. He's going to be your best man at the wedding, isn't he? That's what I've decided, absolutely. Now, if you are willing to pay for a DLC, you can do a run-through where Derek is the love interest. But I just love him. He's precious to me. We'll just make the most of every year. Right. You smiled and it felt like your friendship was still strong. You didn't spend much longer at the park after that. Derek didn't want to miss his dad, so you both made your way back to your street. Bye-bye, you have to go. That's totally fine, Elliot. It's been super awesome having you in, my friend.
Goodbye,
Goodbye, good friends, goodbye.
'Cause now it's time to go.
Take care. Have a wonderful night's sleep, my friend. It's so nice having you in. And I hope the things start to work out, alright? After Derek went back home, you decided to settle in for the night. Stretching your arms over your head, you noticed the living room and the phone were free. We gotta call Lee, tell her about everything that happened today. You picked up the receiver and quickly punched in the familiar number while going to take a seat on the couch. Soon enough, after explaining the situation to the housekeeper, Lee answered.
Hey!
Hey! Hi Lee, can you talk? Definitely, we practically have to. My gosh, can you believe it's almost time for school to start? What happened to our summer? School starts first thing tomorrow for me.
Boo.
Ew! And I thought starting next week was bad enough. Enjoy your last week. Oh, I will. I hope you'll survive your first day. Me too, I need a good year. Ditto. And at least summer was nice while it lasted, right? We were busy. Yeah. Fondly, you thought about all the best memories you made this summer. Lee was there for some, but there were still many you hadn't filled her in on yet. You reminisced about a moment of your summer. You began to speak about Cove. The road trip. Ooh, they had an incredibly hot afternoon. Let's do that one. That one's so cute. I remember the hottest day this summer. I could barely do anything and had to stay inside the entire afternoon. Cove came over and we made sandwiches together. Oh, Cove said I was cute. Well, he wrote it. We were playing Hangman and that's what he picked for me to figure out. You heard her audibly gasp. That's such a move. What did you do? You filled her in as much as you were willing and she gratefully took in all the details. Reminisced about the road trip. I went on a vacation. Cove's parents ended up inviting my whole family on a RV road trip.
Really?
Oh, that's awesome. It was a 3-day trip and we visited the Redwood National Forest. Lucky. I almost kissed Cove.
What?
Like this is what we're talking about. We're talking about this right now. You what? When? Start at the beginning. Your face immediately felt like it was burning, knowing there was no closing this can of worms. I can't believe you've been holding out on me with such a juicy story. You have to tell me everything. You could easily imagine the large grin that had to be sitting on Lee's face as you began going into every detail on the setup, what happened, and the way it ended. This was going to be Lee's favorite story for years. You could feel it. I'm so happy for you. Ah, that's so funny and really, really cute. Gotta go get lunch? No, how dare. Thanks, but it's not like anything really happened then. That's not what counts. The feelings were there. It's hard to focus on what she was saying. You were distracted just thinking back on that moment. With a big shopping trip in the morning. Oh, and we went surfing. That was the day that Mom and Ma took me to Elizabeth on a big supply shopping trip. What made that so memorable? They chuckled, but you could hear the curiosity in her voice. Cove taught me some surfing that day. Ooh, lucky. Was he a good teacher? You were happy that Lee couldn't see the blush burning on your face. Your voice came out almost too soft. You know Lee was enjoying every bit of your embarrassment. Yeah. We're just talking about Cove. It's important. We're talking about Cove. One night, Cove's parents invited me over for dinner at their house for the first time. Mr. Holden made Mexican food. The meal was good. Mexican is yummy, so that's no surprise. What else happened? I got to name one of Cove's pet fish. What did you pick? Maurice? Wow, why hasn't Cove asked me to name one of his fish? He has a bunch, right? That had you bursting into laughter. You almost accidentally dropped the phone. She giggled in return. Moved on to talk about her. What was your big highlight of the summer, Lee? Talking to you was always the best part of my summer. Even though it was a phone call, you just knew that Lee was winking at you. Come on, tell me. What, you don't believe me? Lee? Alright, okay. So high point for me was when I took that trip with my parents to Europe. What the heck? You were so rich. You have a housekeeper? You had just a quick trip to Europe? What the heck? That was amazing. You and Lee continued to go over your adventures until you both were yawning to each other over the phone. We're not going to talk about the kiss? Yeah, there we go. Before you go, here's one other thing. I kissed Cove today. There was a pause of silence. Knowing your cousin, you decided to pull your ear away from the phone. As expected, a screech loud enough for you to still make out clearly from a distance crackled through the speaker. When you felt it was safe, you put the phone back against your head. Lee was still gushing to herself, though a little less loudly. Why didn't you say sooner he had to have kissed you back, right? You two are the most perfectly perfect pair ever. Tell me, please. You used the precious little time you had left to try filling her in as best you were capable of in that moment. But soon the approach of curfew became too much for you to ignore, despite how excited the both of you were. At that, you decided it was time to say goodbye, for now. You did have school to wake up for in the morning. Bye, Lee.
Bye.
Night, Luffy. Talk to you later. You left the phone on the side table for now. No, that's incorrect. It's got to go in the holder. Bad, Luffy. Everything in its place. Looking at the clock on the wall, you saw that there was only about 10 minutes until your mums would be insisting you had to go to bed so you could be rested enough for school. You stretched your legs out on the couch and sighed in defeat, watching the minute hand change 1 minute closer to bedtime. You rearranged yourself, feeling restless, and looked out the window. Startled initially, you spotted a figure out in the hills. It was Cove. When the surprise faded, you realized it really wasn't that much of a shock at all. It was exactly something Cove would do. Folks, I'm going to quickly head to the bathroom, and I'll be right back. Alrighty, and we're back. When the surprise faded, you realized it wasn't that much of a shock at all. It was exactly something Cove would do. Went outside to meet up with him. Strolling casually, you went over to the front door. When you arrived, you noticed how many fireflies were out that night. They drifted along lazily, barely minding your presence as you waded through to reach the top of the hill. Welcome back. Cove turned towards you as you approached. You noticed right away that Cove looked happy to see you. Hey. Smiling shyly, you stopped in front of him. Your fingers nervously pulled at a loose string hanging off your shirt. Hi, what are you doing out here?
Nothing.
Nothing. Not really. He shrugged, seeming unhappy with his own answer. You stared at him, waiting for him to continue. Well, I guess I was feeling kind of weird about stuff, so I'm getting some fresh air before bed. I know how you feel. It's hard to stay still. Tomorrow is going to be the start of a new year. At the mention of school, a small noise escaped him. Cove let himself fall back onto his butt and then all the way down. So he was laying on his back, he looked up at the sky. We laid down. You sat on his chest. He had made himself a pretty available seat with the way he was laid out. You plopped yourself square in the middle of his torso. Luffy! He jolted up in surprise, though couldn't get far with you on top of him. He plopped right back into the grass. With a huff, he just gave up on being shocked. Fine. You snickered in a self-satisfied way. He'd been lost in thought, or was possibly waiting for you to situate yourself. But he started speaking unprompted again. Thanks for telling me about my dad, and the money he offered you to be my friend. This is probably the last thing you were expecting out of him. Cove seemed to pick up on that and stretched his arms out wide in front of him.
I mean...
This is where we met, remember? It happened that day. You could recall the sad little boy with a pink cast, who you found in this very spot. It felt like a lifetime ago. Kind of have a strange feeling looking at you. Not in a bad way, just thinking about you then and really seeing you now. It's something. He turned his face away from you. You got the impression he was trying to hide a blush. It was almost unbelievable how much of an impact he made on your life just by moving in next door. You couldn't even imagine what your days might have looked like in a world where you hadn't met him. Cove glanced back at you, waiting for a response, and you had no idea what to say. Cove just stared at you, unblinkingly. He blinked! I was waiting to see if they'd, like, coded that in. They, in fact, did not. What? It's you. Huh? You snickered before answering. He looked thoroughly amused with your reaction. That's what you do all the time. So I'm being you. Stunned, he noticed enough to take note of it. There was no response that you could give, but you noticed Cove smiling softly at you. He wasn't trying to be mean with it. Honestly, there weren't many people you could think of who could tease you about something like that. Returning his smile, you realized there was no denying that you two have been around each other for a long time. Cove broke the quiet before it could fully settle.
See you tomorrow.
Hey, I'll see you tomorrow. Yeah. See you then. With a final wave, Cove headed for home. You stayed there a few minutes longer. Your mind kept going back to his simple statement. See you tomorrow. No matter how much was changing around you, there were some things in your life that always seemed to remain true. The hills felt warm to you that night. Before you knew it, You were getting comfortable under the covers in your room. Your mind couldn't help but still be buzzing with thoughts about the future. It was hard not to think about Cove. There hadn't been enough time to really figure it out after all that happened between you. You felt excited. I just hit nervous. My mouse slipped. Can I go back? Yeah, I can. Excited is what I wanted to click. There was little doubt in your mind that things were moving forward, and you couldn't wait to find out what changes were waiting for you on the horizon. Slowly, your eyes grew heavy as you drifted off to sleep. Your mind spinning with wishful thoughts. No matter what happened next, you could only hope that you would make the most of it. You were ensnared in a dream when a noise from the outside world jostled you. See that window? Eyes snapped open. The light clatter continued. Now that you were more alert, you could distinguish it as a tapping sound. Quiet, slow, but persistent. Each beat was like being poked. You couldn't ignore it. You lifted your head from the pillow and looked for the source. Not much work was needed to puzzle it out. It was from the window. With that, you knew exactly what it was. From the color of the light filtering into your room, it was too early for anyone to be awake, including the sun. It had barely hauled itself over the horizon, but that didn't stop some people, it seemed. You sat up in your bed and opened the window wide. Cool air, not yet warmed by the day, tickled your face as it pushed into your room. And just as you'd expected, there was your neighbor crouching on your windowsill. He's fully dressed, though not for school. He was wearing a wetsuit and a shy smile. Hi, Luffy. You stared back, blinking. So technically we won't be back to school for a few more hours. His voice was delicate yet deliberate, each word a careful explanation. Classes haven't actually started yet, so do you want to hit the beach with me one more time this summer? Cove, you're so cute. His smile widened affectionately. You rushed to get changed into something suitable while Cove climbed back down to ground level. Your limbs, still half asleep, struggled somewhat as you attempted to coordinate them into a swimsuit, but you got there in the end. Soon you were tiptoeing out your front door, clutching a towel. Cove was always there to greet you. Your eyes met. Cove's gaze darted to your destination and back to you. You checked the door was closed, gave him a thumbs up, and the two of you leapt into action. Wordlessly, you began to run down the familiar path ahead, Cove beside you. The thrill of your illicit outing made you want to laugh. Not that you dared. If anyone in your family looked out and saw you, then your summer would be back to being over. One glance at Cove told you that he was exactly the same, holding back snickers for fear of being heard and caught. The towel streamed out from under your arm like a cape. You were running so fast downhill that simply keeping your balance and not tumbling down was a real threat. It just wasn't enough of one to make you slow your pace. For every step you took, the beach was a little closer and the day a little brighter. What lay ahead of you for you would arrive, and you were happy to meet it. In between. All right. Do we change anything? That's right. We added glasses last time around. Do we go for like a back? No, that's hair color. I want hair back style. Ooh, I kind of don't mind that. We go to the pink. Oh, that's cute. Do we have like a ponytail? Not pigtails. Ooh, that's cute. It doesn't, like, it does not matter at all. Ooh. The strands are cute, actually. Oh, that's so cute. I love that. Okay, so we can't change our eye color. We can change our face shape, which is interesting. Yeah, let's square our jaw off a little more. Get some more freckles? No, I think that's cute. Maybe some acne? I don't know what like year we are. Like what our thing is gonna be. Maybe some earring. I think like that's really cute. Okay, that doesn't change anything there. Oh, is there a new page for? Ooh, ring, jewels, pattern, plain. Not gonna plain ring. Maybe a headscarf. Oh, that's so cool. Dude, I love that. Dude, the representation in this is insane. Nail length. Let's go short. Purple nails. Like, so much has been thought about nose ring. I don't think nose ring. But I think I'm happy with that. Feelings for Cove. Relaxed. Love. Save. All right, folks. We're not quite at the we're not at the full length mark. But my voice is certainly starting to feel a bit strained after ebook reading. After voice acting and audiobook for 2 days. And this is just a really nice spot to call it. So tomorrow we'll be back in for the start of Age 3. This has been so much fun. Let's turn our music on. Quit the game. I'll not be around tomorrow. That's a big sag. Hopefully you can maintain your stream streak at least. Pop in for a moment. But man. Guys, that was so cute. We kissed Cove. We're together now. Like be up at 5 a.m. so I can get a train to the office. Gross. But the inclusivity and representation in this game is genuinely insane. And it's so thought through and cared for. I can't believe this game is free. Able to keep up the stream streak because Signal in the office Wi-Fi blocks Twitch. That's big sag. That's a big sag. But man, I'm loving this game. We're definitely gonna need more than one more stream to finish it. Man, this has been so good. Might buy the DLC for this game to support the devs. This is awesome. Absolutely. John, hello. It's been a little while. How are you doing? It's been 3 weeks since you looked at me. 2 weeks, I guess. Fair enough. We're actually just wrapping up, John. My voice is feeling quite strained from talking so much over the last 2 streams, and we've come to a really nice spot. Sell the DLC through itch.io. Oh, sick. I'm gonna get it there. Awesome, awesome. Heck yeah. I think there's 2 DLCs. I think there's one specifically about Derek, and then there's one that's like a extra DLC as well. But no, this has been so good. Let us find out who we can raid out to today. We got a Lily, a Pyfro, a Pixie, an Origami. Can we get some love in the chat for John, please? It's been a while since you've been here, my friend. Let's go see Lily. I'm here for that. It's been a little while since you've been here, and you've been very missed, my friend. I hope you were doing really good, and it's just so lovely to have you back, even if it's right towards the end. I appreciate you to the end and back. Get loved, sucker. All right, we are gonna raid the beautiful Lily, my darling. Is it May or Mai? Lily, my darling? Lily, May, darling? I don't know. But she's just true perfection. I adore Lily to bits. Getting to play with her on Super Life has been so good. Have some Wi-Fi issues? Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, friend. I was just hanging out on a voice call with her the other day, and she's just such a delight. I'm so glad we've become friends. She's true perfection. Now I got to navigate the new raid screen. It just throws me off. It's cool though. It's like you've got cool options for things of like similar or smaller size, rated you, following, events. That's cool. I like that. Like, I just got to get used to it, you know? All right. So, folks, we are raiding over to the beautiful Lily Mae Darling. A true wonder. So once you get over there, if you haven't already, you should 100% give her a follow. She super deserves it. She has, like, just one of the most wonderful and just cozy vibes. Sorry to hear that, Twig. But yeah, just amazing vibes. So absolutely engage over there if you can, and follow as well. Oh, 2 months, 8 days. Yo, yo, yo. And yeah, so here are our raid calls, everybody. So if you're a follower, please copy the first one. If you are a subscriber, please copy that second one. And I'll see you guys tomorrow. We'll be playing some more of Our Life Always and Together. I don't remember. Our Life Beginning and Always, baby. And it's been super fun. We'll be continuing up the Catboi Cafe. And just thank you all for being here. Thank you all for funding my gaming PC. This is all a reward streams for you guys. Take care. Have a good day. Have a good night. And look after yourself.